Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 12th edition of IDFC First Bank Presents ET Now Leaders of Tomorrow Awards. My name is Sumit Lakhotia, and thank you for taking out time and for joining us here today. Now, for over a decade, ET Now Leaders of Tomorrow, India's longest-running television show dedicated to celebrating entrepreneurship, has been at the forefront of recognizing MSMEs. Now, airing Monday to Friday, every day at 7:30 p.m. on ET Now, the show has provided a powerful platform from small businesses to get the recognition that they truly deserve. Now, tonight at this grand award ceremony, we continue our legacy of honoring the most promising MSMEs across diverse sectors. Now, this year's theme is very unique. It's powering entrepreneurs for the global stage. And we look forward to saluting the leaders of tomorrow who are revolutionizing India's business ecosystem and are striving to make a mark globally. Now, we'd like to welcome our finalists who are present in the audience. Let's have a round of applause for them. You will be seeing them up on stage very soon. Thank you so much to the finalists for your participation, and may the best candidates win tonight. Now, the Leaders of Tomorrow Awards is the result of a meticulous and elaborate process where each nomination is scrutinized by a process partner, EY. Now, the shortlisted nominees presented their case before an esteemed grand jury comprising of some of India's most respected business leaders. Some of them are here today. Just keep the applause going for our jury. Padmaja Ruparel, the co-founder, IAN Group. Dr. A. Velumani, creator, Thyrocare. Abhinandan Lodha, the chairman, the House of Abhinandan Lodha Group. Amit Jain, co-founder and CEO, Kardekho Group. Shaurvi Malik, co-founder, Wholesome Foods, Slurp Farm and Millet. Anisha Singh, founder, She Capital. Prashant Tandon, CEO and co-founder, Tata 1MG. Vivek Gambhir, venture partner, Lightspeed India. CP Gurnani, CEO and co-founder, AI on OS. Sahil Malik, MD and CEO, Damilano and Rosso Brunello. Hiroshi Nishijima, CEO of Zoomcar. And Vinod Kumar Vutu, the President, India SME Forum. But before we proceed, we'd also like to take a moment to express our gratitude to our presenting partner, IDFC First Bank, without whom this evening would not have been possible. Also, a heartfelt thanks to our education partner, Bennett University, and outdoor partner, Times OOH. Now, in this day and age where every business is a digital business, our event is also on digital, on social media. We'd love for you to keep tweeting using the hashtag LOTS12 Awards. Do remember to tag us on social media. Our handle is @ETNow_LOT on X and Instagram. And if you're on LinkedIn, then look for us @ETNow Leaders of Tomorrow. Well, enough from me. We have an electrifying evening ahead filled with inspiring conversations and insights from some truly special guests. But before we dive in, here's a look at our remarkable journey over the years.
The spirit of entrepreneurship has shaped India's economic journey, turning aspirations into achievements.
A very warm welcome to a brand new season of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12.
Leaders of Tomorrow has provided a platform for innumerable entrepreneurs, fueling their ambition. Greater success. As SMEs and MSMEs evolve with India's dynamic economy, this year we celebrate visionaries who dare to dream beyond boundaries and redefine the global stage. The Leaders of Tomorrow Awards follow a rigorous selection process, with EY ensuring eligibility before nominations undergo screening. Top contenders across 14 categories are shortlisted based on key criteria and present to a grand jury of esteemed business leaders who deliberate to choose the winner. A warm welcome to our distinguished jury, whose expertise will illuminate the path for these trailblazing entrepreneurs. IDFC First Bank presents ET Now Leaders of Tomorrow Awards, Season 12.
Let's have a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. That's 12 illustrious years. So many of the people that have come on the platform have become unicorns, and there are many soonicorns that have been coming all throughout. All right, that is the story of leaders of tomorrow and the stories of the backbone of the nation, that is the MSMEs. But you know, one thing about startups and MSMEs are that, of course, they are transforming industries. But true growth is also about smart financial solutions that foster innovation and inclusivity. So to shed light on how businesses can leverage the right financial tools, we now have a very special address. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first speaker for the evening, the Head Retail Liabilities and Branch Banking at IDFC First Bank, Chinmay Dhoble, to deliver the special address.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here amidst all the dignitaries and entrepreneurs who are present here. My heartfelt compliments to the ET Now team who have built, sustained and grown this property over a period of 12 years. Leaders of Tomorrow, which has an apt tagline, which is powering entrepreneurs to the global stage, I think is a platform which is now a very well established property where entrepreneurs come, they share their ideas, they present the businesses that they have built, and out of these ideas, the best of the best are selected, and some of them, I think, are here. As I understand, the winners present here have gone through rigorous multi-level selection process. I want to congratulate and compliment all the winners. All of you are an inspiration for every entrepreneur in this country. All of you are the true nation builders of India. Coming to the topic that I'm going to talk about, I will quickly give an overview of the MSMEs in India, the needs and the challenges that the sector faces today. While there are challenges, there are also significant tailwinds which are playing out in the economy. And in the end, I will try and cover our bit that we are doing in being part of this journey. What this slide effectively shows, and it's a bit of a busy slide, but what it essentially shows is the contribution of MSME sector in the overall gross value addition or GDP of the country and the share of employment. So if you see the dots, for example, if you see India, the contribution is somewhere here, but in terms of contribution to employment, it's well above 60%. Similarly, if you see across all the economies, MSMEs are a significant contributor in the GDP, but beyond that, they are a very large contributor in employment generation. While in a way, it's a good thing that MSMEs contribute so much to the employment, it also is a kind of a reflection on the productivity and the efficiency of these entities. Because if you see, large corporates typically have a contribution beyond 60-70%, but their share of employment is much lower, which effectively means that in terms of productivity and efficiency, they are significantly 1 or 2 notches above the MSMEs. And I am sure every entity wants to go up the value chain. So while we have 6.7 crore MSMEs in India, you will see most of the concentration is towards the micro entities. And over a period of time, I am sure it's an aspiration of every entrepreneur, of every somebody who runs a micro entity to become a small to medium, and medium to large. And we believe, and the general theme of what I'm trying to present today, is that the biggest unlock in this journey is going to be productivity enhancement and the efficiency buildup which comes along with that. So when we look at needs and challenges, it's more around, so a lot is spoken about the access or limited access to credit in the MSME sector, and it is very, very true. But I think only talking about access to credit is a bit of a narrow view of the issue. There are multiple stages of how an entity grows from micro to small to medium and large. And as this evolution happens, the needs of the entity also keep on changing. Here what I have tried to put is one example, something which is very common in India, which is the textile industry, and how an entity grows from micro to small and medium, and how the needs change. So if you take a simple textile manufacturing unit, and I'm not sure how visible that picture is, but it essentially starts with a bootstrap kind of handloom unit, where largely it's money which is brought in by the people who start the business or friends and families. There is a bit of informal lending. Then as the business grows, it graduates to power looms. There are some basic unsecured or small secured loans which are there. Then it goes to automated weaving technology, collateral bank loans, then there are insurances, etc. But what is also important is the scale and productivity. So in the initial stages, the scale is much smaller. Most of the employees you will have will be unskilled labor, something which is largely known to the promoter entities. As the businesses grow bigger, the clients also become bigger. So there is a lot of focus on relatively standardized labor, quality standards. For a medium enterprise, of course, there is high-tech machinery. Maybe it becomes an export unit with global standards, with different requirements of different geographies. Another thing which changes very, very significantly as an entity becomes larger is compliances. And I think somewhere most of the entrepreneurs or most of the MSMEs, we don't realize the cost of compliances. So compliances are very basic, like your GST registration, Udyam Aadhar registration, to having employees, to PF. Then if you get into export-import, then the compliances become more and more, I won't say difficult, but the compliance requirements change and evolve. And to manage those compliance requirements, you need a different skill set. Then again, credit largely at the lower end, it is unsecured, credit guarantee schemes. But as it becomes a medium enterprise, then you will need relatively more structured finance in terms of import-export financing, LC, or LC, BG, these kind of guarantees. Similarly, on the deposit side, largely at a micro level, you won't have too much of excess money to park. But even if you do, it's into a basic savings account, current account, fixed deposits. Then you will have some requirement of a current account, again recurring deposits. As a medium enterprise level, you will need some FX solutions, some liquidity management solutions, large-scale investment solutions, and again going back to the manpower requirement. So here you would be basically managing accounts on your own. Somewhere there would be you would have your own chartered accountant or an outsourced CA entity. At a medium level and large level, you require proper CFOs and accounts function, etc. And the point of this slide is that the requirements depend upon the life stage of the entity, and it is important for a financier, or for that matter any advisor, to give the right solution at the right point in time for an entity to grow. This is a slide which all of us are aware. There is a lot of working capital gap in this sector. Of course, the smaller entities have a larger gap. As you become larger, the gap gets bridged. But again, I'm saying it's not only about credit or access to finance. It's about multiple areas where diversification is needed. While all this is there, I think there are significant tailwinds which are there for the Indian economy. And while I'm sure a lot of speakers will speak about the opportunities that are there in sector, I think one theme which in a way encapsulates these tailwinds is the Atmanirbhar Bharat program of Government of India. So Atmanirbhar Bharat, I mean, colloquially, if you say it's self-reliance, it's not only the old-time self-reliance and reduction of imports, etc. It is largely focused on self-reliance, being efficient, being competitive, being resilient, and growing. So something which is very close to the theme of this property or the theme of these awards, which is empowering towards global competitiveness. And the 5 pillars on which this entire program is built is one is, of course, the economy, which is growing, reducing imports, creating global competitiveness, increasing sectors through which we can export to the world. But what are the levers which make you competitive? And those are the areas where the Government of India has really pushed a lot. This is kind of an umbrella program where all the schemes which are largely manufacturing driven, but also services driven, which are brought under one umbrella, which is this Atmanirbhar umbrella. And the example that we are taking is, because this we think is the framework which kind of encapsulates the entire philosophy or the rationale behind growth. So the other one is infrastructure. No point in having ability to manufacture or to export if you don't have the requisite infrastructure. So there is a lot of focus on infrastructure. Then the next part is something which in India all of us should be really, really proud of, and all of us would be interacting with your counterparts in other developed economies. So do we. But the kind of digital infrastructure and the India stack that we have built is, I mean, there is no comparison. There's no even distant second for this kind of stack. Of course, we have a lot of we keep talking about demographic dividend, the number of people who are working age. But at the same time, in India, we also have an issue of employability and skill gap. While our population is increasing, more and more people are reaching the age of the age where they will join the workforce. There is a massive skill gap. We look at skill gap largely at the lower end in terms of vocational skills, etc. However, we need to also see that sectors where we are doing well, like the services sector, the IT sector, that is also a sector where knowledge gap and skill gap becomes very, very important. And a part of this is also covered in this scheme. Last, of course, the PLI scheme. I am not, from what I know, a lot of you are from the manufacturing sector, and either directly or through indirectly, you would be taking advantage of some of these PLI schemes and the sectors where the PLI scheme is being implemented. But we are seeing a lot of investment happening in these sectors. So these are the 5 pillars, I think. These pillars are they capture the tailwinds. I am not saying this is the only way we are going to grow, but this is one of the biggest levers where we are going to grow. So this is a part, since we are from the financial services industry, I would want to talk about for a couple of minutes, which is the digital infrastructure. And this is an example of how the digital infrastructure makes it, one, easy for the lenders to start lending and to give more lending. At the same time, it also includes a large set of both individuals as well as entities, which were not so far covered in the lending spectrum. So on the loan origination and sourcing side, you have multiple platforms like Sahay, the Udyam Mitra, or Trades. Trades is a platform which does bill discounting. I was in one of the meetings organized by RBI last week, and one great thing that they have launched is something called ULI, which is Unified Lending Interface. Again, what they are doing is all the services, platforms, and the products related to lending, they are bringing on one single platform, which can be accessed by all the consumers, whether it is individual or on the enterprise side. And on the other side, you have lenders. It's in a way democratizing the entire lending interface, and today with the amount of data as well as digitization that is happening in the country, I think it will be much, much easier for both individuals as well as entities to access formal finance. Of course, in terms of credit application and verification today, establishing one of the biggest challenges which we in financial services have always faced is establishing the identity and identity of the entities or the individuals. Now the verification layer, which is whether it is your Aadhaar or account aggregator, KYC, has become much, much more easier. The third important one is underwriting. Finally, underwriting, I mean, we keep saying it's part science, it's part art. A large part of it used to be judgmental. Today, with a lot of formal data as well as alternate data sources, it is much easier for the lenders to underwrite, and it kind of creates the risk matrix fairly well. I mean, depending upon the lender's risk appetite, you can very clearly segment customers, and alternate data, your land records today are digitized. Earlier it was only financials, now you have banking analysis, you have GST data, you have transaction data, you have payments data, you have collections data, you have your social media footprint. There are multiple data points which today can be very seamlessly accessed by financials to determine the lending. And of course the monitoring and servicing, because lending is a business of not only giving money, it's also a business of collecting money. And with your bureaus getting more and more advanced, as well as a lot of ratings available, again for individuals and entities, it's much easier to monitor. So what this entire framework does is that it becomes lending easier, and it also becomes much more inclusive. A lot of entities and individuals which were outside the lending spectrum today get included. Similarly, there are a lot of these schemes. Because of paucity of time, I will move to the last section, which is what do we do at IDFC First Bank and how are we a part of this journey. So as a bank, as a philosophy, we really respect the MSME sector. And it's not, of course, it's a large sector, it's an important sector, but traditionally, we have been lending significantly in this sector across the segments, right? From joint liability groups to wholesale banking. And this segment has been a great paymaster for the bank. We have always had very good servicing from this sector. So this is a focus area which will continue. About the bank, we are a universal bank. We are built on the pillars of digital, social, and ethical. We really try to keep our customer first in every interaction that we do. And as an example of that, we are the only bank which today doesn't charge any fees on any of our savings bank account services. Similarly, we have more than 40 current account services which are free of charge. We are the first bank who introduced monthly interest credit on savings bank accounts. There are a lot of these things that we do regularly, and this is a part of our, as I said, ethical banking feature. We we offer both deposit solutions as well as lending solutions. Deposit solutions are basic current account, then payment solutions, mobile applications, trade and forex solutions. Similarly, on the lending side, as I said, we offer products across the spectrum. What we believe differentiates us is largely one, as I said in the first slide where I showed the evolution of that textile unit. We understand that different customers have different needs at every stage, at every life stage, and we should be there to fulfill those needs. It's not a one-size-fit-all kind of product. The approach is more customization, understanding, and as I said, with so many data points available, we are a digital-first bank. We have APIs built with most of the platform. We have our own strong analytical tools. With this kind of intelligence, we are able to segment customers better and offer the right solutions. Something again unique for our MSME customers on the deposit side, we have an auto sweep facility on your current account, where money above a certain balance, we have an auto sweep which gets swept out into an FD, where we pay an interest of up to 7.25%. As I said, we have zero charges on 40 plus current account services, which is kind of unheard of on the current account side. We also have special programs for MSMEs and startups. Our apps are best in class. We have something very unique for startup. We have a lot of we have a lot of startup clients. A significant part of the startup industry banks with us. We have solutions both on the lending as well as on the deposit side. And here again, we try to partner with the startups across the journey. So we have a special program called First Wings, where we have a dedicated team for the startups. We offer right from financial solutions to advisory to mentoring. And this is the last thought that I have from my side, that we have to understand MSME not as a monolith, but as a segment which runs across industries and across life stages. We as financiers need to appreciate that, and we need to be in a position to offer services which are required at that point in time, not only financial, but as well as give access to services which are also advisory in nature, which helps the businesses to grow. So that's it from my side. Thank you very much, and congratulations to all the winners. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Doble, and thank you for sharing those valuable insights. Ladies and gentlemen, now we will move on to our first fireside chat. But before we get into that, just once more, just to remind you that please do keep sharing your thoughts, your suggestions, your photos. We're using the hashtag LOTS12 Awards. It is the 12th season of the awards. That's why we're using this hashtag, and we'd love to hear from you, your thoughts, your suggestions, your views on the experts that are here and what they will be talking about. Now, our first fireside chat, ladies and gentlemen, is on the theme, the capital markets advantage for MSMEs. Now, through this conversation, we will discover how small businesses can leverage capital markets to drive long-term growth. Now, our esteemed guest for this conversation is a driving force behind the growth of India's financial markets, particularly in fostering the SME sector. Now, he's an alumnus of IIT Bombay and IIM Calcutta. He was a founding member of the National Stock Exchange of India and is widely known as the father of modern financial derivatives in India. No points for guessing, ladies and gentlemen. Please join me in welcoming on stage Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan, MD and CEO of NSE. And to lead the conversation, I'd like to invite Mihir Bhatt, Managing Editor, Times Network, and Chief Business Officer, Times Influence. Round of applause for Mr. Chauhan and Mihir.
Thank you, Sumit. And Chinmay, that was a wonderful presentation, very informative. Thank you for that. That sort of sets the tone for this conversation. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. India won Champions Trophy yesterday, and you are champion of financial markets in India. So give a huge round of applause to India's victory also. Sir, I want to start with a very basic thing. You know, you have been part of an ecosystem which has constantly worked on the improvement of MSME and SME sector in India, right from designing the mechanism for them to list, to actually go ahead and launch a platform where it helps an SME to raise money from capital markets. You have covered a very long journey, even on the MSME front. What are your key takeaways today in this evolutionary process where Indian markets stand when it comes to ease of raising capital for SMEs and MSMEs?
Thank you for calling me, and congratulations to all the winners. The MSMEs is a wide spectrum. When you start on your own, I think as Mr. Doble said, to having even 5,000 people employed, and you will still call yourself MSME. So It's a very wide spectrum. And when we grew up, almost 55, 60 years back, nobody wanted to be an entrepreneur because people did not have capital. But in a way, the technology also didn't allow most people to become entrepreneurs. We had to, I mean, if you are good, you have to study and become employees or take government jobs. And I think that probably that tradition continues. People want government jobs. But overall, there's been large change in terms of how the world behaves. Slowly, the technology changed and it allowed a smaller businessmen to come up. Earlier, if you had to set up a textile mills, you had to have processing, weaving, spinning, everything together, which used to be called composite mill. And then later on came the sort of small looms, which were to be done even in your house. And that changed the game. And that's where the technology, for me, is the fundamental change that happens to the world. And I'm an engineer by training. So, and I have tried to be an entrepreneur many times and failed many times. So in some ways, I speak from experience of an SME entrepreneur who has failed many times. And it's still, in some ways, when you are an entrepreneur, earlier also you had to ask for a bank loan and they'll say, where is the collateral, which they still do. And they should, because ultimately they have a responsibility to take the money back. But you don't have the equity. Most of us, even today, wouldn't have equity. And that's where the markets can help. And so when we were young, nobody would fund you because none of relatives or friends or other people also had money. Capital was starved, sort of India was capital starved. Today, there are few people who have money and then you have markets. Today, 11 crore investors are registered with NSE and with 21 crore accounts. And they are willing to fund your dreams. So when you want to go and say, I have this business running and is having, say, 3-4 crore turnover, 2-3 crore market cap, and also 2-3 crore net worth. And you say, I want to now raise it to 200 crores and I require so much of equity so that I can go and borrow so much of debt. That's where the markets come in. And today there are 11 crore Indians. In fact, in stock market, it's anomalous that India has such a large market because the capital market theory says that only rich people invest because they save and then they invest in other people. But poor countries do not have a tradition of saving nor investing because poor people save a little or almost nothing. And if they save, they don't trust their brothers also. How will they trust somebody sitting 3,000 kilometers away and put money in that? And so India, with very thriving capital markets, even for SMEs, is an anomalous situation. But it has happened. And now it's it's a great situation for most of the people who want to become entrepreneurs. And that's why they should come to the market. India is willing to sort of fund your dreams. And of course, they are your partners once you take the money from them. And I would, of course, request all the entrepreneurs who take money saying that take it very seriously. When it's your money, it's sort of if you lose, it's fine. But if you take some other people's money, you are much more responsible.
Right. Sir, we keep referring to this term ease of doing business. And I want to extend this term when it comes to capital markets. And maybe you can actually throw some light in terms of ease of listing. And Chinmay also referred to the whole mechanism of due diligence. And obviously it should be there. But do you think there is a scope to improve that part and maybe make it a little more easier looking at the concentration of the low value MSMEs in the overall ecosystem?
The overall, I think there are 6.5, 7 crore total MSMEs, but most of them are not even micro. It's like below micro, one man or 2 men shops. The ones which are slightly larger, they are in the range of 70,000 to 1 lakh. We have now between 2 exchanges around 1,100 companies listed on the SME platform. Some of them have, I think 20% have gone to the main board, but 800 are still remaining in the small boards, which basically they have listed recently. And so, in some ways, anyone wanting to list today, compared to say what was there 20 years back, today it's very easy to list. But you need to comply because you are taking money from people who are unknown to you. when you come to the market, I mean, when you go to the bank, they appraise you, they figure out, they come to your plants, check with your suppliers, check with your customers, check the market data and stuff like that. But an investor who is sitting like very far, she's putting 1,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees in your business. She doesn't have that capability, right? And so the requirements are generally much stringent than even a bank loan would be. But banks also cover themselves with the collateral. Whereas in equities, it is not so. At the same time today, if you think you want to list and you have all the data and all the paperwork ready, you should be able to list on SME market within 3 to 6 months, which is quite a change vis-a-vis even a main board company today. Main board company would take a year to list from idea to execution earliest. An SME company will take 3 months. So in a way, SMEs have a head start to do the listing. The compliances are now much easier. Earlier, when GST was not there, or automatic even income tax or TDS was not there, people were trying to save taxes, and that's why they didn't want to go to markets. Today, and most of them used to have 2 books, one for showing to authorities, one for personal consumption. Today, I think with GST, all these things are gone. So you have all the data. You should be able to go to list if you think you have a plan, you have a business, and you want to make it big. If you want to remain the same, don't come to the market. See, I mean, for me, I tell everyone that what is the difference or what is common between, say, Dhirubhai Ambani, Ratan Tata, Narayan Murthy, Nandan Nilekani, is that they became billionaires because they listed on NSE. So if you want to become billionaire, of course, Velu is here, so he is also billionaire because he listed. And so for me, I mean, he listed in front of me, but those people listed before I joined the business. But effectively for me, it's important that you want to have a plan, you want to grow, you want to become billionaire, come and list, right? And then that will make you disciplined from day one. And everywhere, the tough part is actually in thinking. Once you have decided that you want to do it, and you are a true entrepreneur, you will do it.
Right. I would like to refer to Chinmay's presentation, the first slide which he presented. While obviously, I mean, one can look at it as a great opportunity because in terms of employment, the MSME sector plays a very vital role, employing more than 60%, I mean, generating more than 60% employment in the country. If you look at the value addition or the productivity, we are still somewhere at the bottom. If you look at the global parameters, is it an opportunity to tap, or is it a sort of a deadlock or a serious problem to increase productivity in this sector?
See, for me, the productivity sometimes happens out of scale, and sometimes happens out of the individual initiatives. So scale brings its own level of productivity because of the machines and things like that, right? And the individual initiatives bring the new level of productivity by creating more sort of varieties, newer ways of doing things. And today, the place where we are in technology, whether it is in AI, 3D printing, robotics, or many other areas, biosciences, and things like that, you will see that everyone will be able to do same thing very easily. How do you get that extra zing into that? And that's why, for me, in fact, many people think today, I think somebody said, probably Shamat or somebody, saying, it's time where single person enterprise now will be $1 billion. Why? Is because the productivity tools available today, which are currently being developed or are in the market, which we have not yet tested, none of us, can actually increase your productivity many times, which would not be true with a larger organization, right? So it's actually the smaller players are going to be very beneficiary of the newer trends that are coming up. They require less capital, a lot of brains, a lot of hard work, which is there. While as the scale part, which used to be there in 1930s and 1940s and even 1990s, was about scale. Today is about enterprise, right? And for me, Indians have too much enterprise, very little capital, and a lot of brains, right? And that's where I think we are in the right place, right time. Think of becoming, each of you can become $1 billion enterprise yourself, right? If you collect 50 people, probably it might be even more. And today, you can service the world. See, most of us have been very inward-looking because of the way we evolved, post-independence specifically. We have become very closeted. But today, you need to service the world, and world is going from what I call unipolar. Most of our lives who are below 60 have seen one single world power called US. The bipolar world or duopolar world got over in 1988 after the Berlin Wall fell. And then since last so many years, it's basically about the unipolar world. Now suddenly, US is receding. The rich country is thinking that they have become poor. And so they are trying to move away. And that's where there are going to be multipolar world. And nobody has seen that. At the same time, technology is becoming so fast and so fast changing that individuals with exposure and ideas can do much more than what could have been done in, say, 88 or 95. And that's where, for me, today, India is going to be one of the polars or polarities going forward. And we are in the right place, right time. It's our youngsters. We've also got some exposure to the world. When we joined the business in early 90s, we were still basically non-liberalized world. Everything had to be licensed. Today, of course, you can still see a lot of controls and a lot of other things, but still it's much better. And you can actually service the entire world. Don't think of servicing only India. And in a multipolar world, for me, broadly speaking, the way US is doing, WTO, World Trade Organization, is gone. UN is gone. WHO is gone. Whatever you think of, all the rules are gone. And that's where basically the big boys will play, but the small boys also will have ability to maneuver and make their money.
That's a headline you have given. And in fact, that was my next question actually, because you mentioned US. While it is receding and it is moving away from, the accepted formula of globalization, what I want to focus on is the so-called tariff war, because the MSME ecosystem in India plays a very vital role in exports, right? The way US is behaving, this global tariff war, what kind of impact do you see it having on Indian MSME sector, especially those who are driven by exports?
India, 30 years back, 35 years back, when it was joining WTO, other places, it did not have the strength. And US wanted to wean away China from Russia. That's why they sent Kissinger through Pakistan into China and stuff like that. And that's how they mollycoddled China for last 40 years. And now they have found the result that they have created a monster. And so it's going to be basically the end of all the, what I call the rules of the game, the WTO and rule-based. There are no rules. It's just that whatever the large guys say becomes rule at that moment, and those large guys actually work together. Now, large guys are actually opposing each other, right? And that's where India is now one of the large guys. And that's where probably you will have much better relationship with the US. Even Europe is now quoting us. You've seen that over the last few weeks. Probably the Japan, Australia, even some portion of East Asia. You're going to see a situation where each party is going to deal with other party on a one-to-one basis rather than on the multipolar WTO kind of situation basis. And that's where, like today, Mr. Amitabh Kant has an article, op-ed in one of the newspapers about how textiles are going to be different. When we were growing up, we thought we'll do well in textile. We didn't. Bangladesh did, or China did. Why? Because they were allowed in the quota regime, the quotas which poor countries were allowed. And the same Europe and same US did not allow India to be in quota because they said you were rich, although you were lower in per capita income, but we want you to be rich because you are already a democracy. You're already slightly capitalist. We want China to be poor. Although they are richer than you, we will give them quota so that they come out of the Russia's orbit and stuff like that. So there is no regulation, no rules those days also. But what I'm telling you, these are all how the world gets to play if you are large. And today, by quirk of fate, India is on the table. And we are going to call our shots. We are going to have our own ways of dealing with people, where other people will also, of course, ask for their pound of flesh. And we have to be sort of adult to work with each of them on a one-to-one basis. And that's why each of the MSME or medium or large companies will have their own play. They need to tell our government, our negotiators about what are the opportunities we have as a country, what those people's requirements are, and that is the other counter sides, and then how do we basically create a win-win solution for each country which are large, right? And that's what each of us who are working as small entrepreneurs are going to get our chances. We need to pivot very fast, get what the other sides want, and probably, today I have much more confidence than I had, although I was young those days in 91, 92, I just came out of college. But today I have much more confidence on our entrepreneurs and our youngsters in creating a better solution for the world than we had that time.
Right. So are you somewhere saying our theme also for this year's awards is that how the MSMEs can be powered to global stage? Are you saying that it is technology, entrepreneurship and skill which is going to power Indian entrepreneurs to global stage in a sort of constantly changing scenario?
Absolutely. And also in addition to that, exposure to the world and the network. These two, where we were lacking completely in 91. We were so inward looking that around the world in $8 was the theme, right? Today, many youngsters have gone abroad, they've come back, their parents have gone abroad, come back. They know how the world behaves, what are the cultural issues. And my own language, when I went first time in 93 to UK and US, I was speaking English, but they kept on telling me that speaking English. Probably it was racism, but also to some extent to give them credit, they had never heard a person like me before, speaking English in my own accent. And so, in a way, now they've started hearing people like us every day, right, because of the call centers and all. But effectively, that's where I think our network, our exposure to the world has become much stronger, and that's going to keep us in good state going forward.
Right. You mentioned about, the old institutions like WTO, WHO sort of coming down from its previous form. Are you somewhere hinting that because of the multipolarity, countries with common interest or convenience of business will end up forming such smaller groups rather than having one global umbrella organization like WTO? Is that what you're saying?
No, absolutely. They already did it. They've done it before. Like European Union was a project. Then the US, Mexico, Canada was a project. And even China did the ASEAN, and then now they were trying to do some BRICS and whatever, road and something like that.
Belt and Road, yeah.
Right? So that's how I see that it has always happened over and above as a layer to WTO. But WTO had a power because two large players, actually one large player was beneficent enough, that is the US, was allowing all these things to go despite being attacked. Today, it's like the king whose money has gone and he was still being very charitable for long. And now he's feeling that my clothes are going and I need to save my clothes, right? And that's where now he's not being so charitable. And that's where I think you have a chance that multipolarity, those multiple players which are taking advantage of the largest of that guy are now going to find themselves negotiating with that guy. And similarly, we will be in that same queue and we will have to negotiate with each other.
Right. That was really bold. But sir, coming back to your entrepreneurial journey, because you kept mentioning it, that you failed as an entrepreneur, though nobody would believe it, the way you have sort of reinvented exchanges, derivatives mechanism in India, and everything that you have done. Still, what was your biggest learning from your entrepreneurial journey, which you would want, aspiring entrepreneurs here to learn from you?
I have been party to setting up exchanges, running them, but I have also been part of setting up retail, organized retail, very large. Similarly, telecom companies, and similarly, even refineries and all. But interestingly, I also was the first CEO of Mumbai Indian cricket team, okay? So many things I have done, but as employee. When I started my own firm, it was on software, B2B e-commerce. It was ahead of its time, which happens to many of us. 25 years back I started, and I failed fast, and then I became an employee again. Parallelly, I started my own, another software firm for stockbrokers, which in a way I started for India, the automation of stockbroking and stuff. And that worked. A little bit of money came in, which was my family's retirement funds and stuff like that. But 2-3 things. You think people are going to fund your friends and all when you go to them. I mean, I am from finance. When I went to my friends, they didn't want to tell me no, but they said, boss, you're good. We know you. You're trustworthy. But when your turnover goes to 25 million, then you come to me, then I'll fund. And I said, boss, if I have 25 million, why would I come to you, right? But it was a good way to say no. So you have to be able to figure out when people are saying no nicely, right? Sometimes people tell you no badly, don't take it to heart. You will hear a lot of no's when you are an entrepreneur, right? If you are an entrepreneur, you know that. The second thing is to stay grounded. You can't believe in your own bluff. You may be optimistic, which you must be, otherwise you can't be entrepreneur, right? You have to be sort of optimistic that tomorrow will be better than today. Next second will be better than just now, right? And that's why you keep on running, waking up every day and running hard and fast. But still you have to be grounded, saying something is not working, then you need to stop. Otherwise, you're going to go farther and create more losses for yourself, right? So not believing in your bluff, you may want to market it to others, but you need to be grounded to figure out that let's sort of continue to compare with reality and come back to reality all the time.
Right. Candid as ever. Thank you so much, Ashish sir, for joining us here. I know you have a flight to catch, but please give him a huge round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you, Mihir. Thank you, Mr. Chauhan. May I request you to please stay on for just a short while longer. I'd also like to invite up on stage the COO of News Broadcast Business of Times Network, Mr. Varun Kohli, to please join Mr. Chauhan and Mihir up on stage. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chauhan has played a pivotal role in launching numerous platforms, opening crucial funding avenues for small and medium enterprises and enabling them to access capital markets. Under his leadership, both BSE and NSE have championed financial inclusion, deepened market participation and strengthened India's position as a global financial hub. For his contribution to the markets and small business empowerment, we'd like to present the much-deserved special recognition in outstanding leadership in SME growth and financial markets to Mr. Ashish Kumar Chauhan. Let's keep that applause going, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Mihir. Thank you, Varun, for that. All right, let's move on. Now, our next speaker has redefined the tech landscape with innovation and a global vision. He's been instrumental in shaping a brand that dares to be different, blending cutting-edge technology with unique design. Now, this is a brand that is called Nothing. It's a London-based startup redefining tech. I mean, I don't know if you can call it a startup anymore, we'll find out. But they are redefining tech with innovation and artistry. With a decade of industry experience, he has led Nothing to remarkable milestones. And today, he'll be talking to us about mastering the global mindset. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Akis Evangelidis, the India president and co-founder of Nothing. And he'll be in conversation with Ritvika Gupta, news editor, Times Network. Ritvika, before you start, I have a question for Akis. Is that the Nothing 3A Pro with you? Yeah. All right, I thought as much.
Wonderful.
About you.
Going on sales tomorrow.
Exactly.
No, but seriously, I think, where Sumit left off, let me just pick it up from there. Can we call Nothing a startup today?
I guess a big startup.
A bit of?
Yeah, we recently just crossed 1 billion cumulative revenue within 4 years.
Fantastic.
Thank you. So first kind of big milestone, and yeah, our growth has been tremendous ever since last year. We're the fastest growing smartphone brand here in India. And yeah, we're not planning to slow down anytime soon. So yeah, hopefully we're beyond the startup stage.
Fantastic. Akis, today, the topic for my conversation with you is mastering the global mindset. And why I chose this topic is because in my conversation with a lot of small business owners, startup founders, entrepreneurs on my daily show, ET Now, which is from Monday to Friday, 7:30 p.m. on ET Now, I garner a sense of aspiration, ambition. I feel like India's entrepreneurs today, they want to scale not just in India, but across the globe. And having a mindset is crucial because, it's more than just having talent, resources. But I want to understand from you, what is the global mindset? Is it about having the ability to adapt across markets or something else entirely different?
Yeah, I think globalization has been exponentially kind of blurring the line, between all the different kind of geographic locations. And I think for us, with nothing ever since we started, I think the most important thing was anchoring a story into something that was meaningful to our audience, something relatable. And at the end of the day, looking back, people are always asking me, your brand is so cool, we love what you're doing and so on, what's the trick? But to be honest, we were thinking about ourselves as users. It was 4 years ago. We grew up with the launch of the first iPhone. We would kind of stay up very late to watch the keynotes. And, 4 years ago, that kind of excitement within the industry had sort of faded away. So we're like, okay, we're entering our 30s. So we thought that, if we would take a shot, it would be now or never. So we embark on that journey, really looking at this again from a user lens. And then gradually, as we start kind of building the company, talking to people, we realized that it wasn't just us that were feeling that way, and we sort of created that emotional connection that, again, was aspired people on a global scale. And it was quite crazy at the time, the level of excitement we had even before releasing our first product. Just, tech enthusiasts, just knowing that there was a brand out there that was going to give it a go, challenge the big kind of big brands out there that's been around for years, and sort of, with that excitement that has gone away, we kind of captivate that level of excitement from the get-go, and we've been building since then.
Fantastic. Now, from an outsider's lens, like not outsider, you're now the India president, so you're pretty much an insider now. But what I mean to ask is, how does one view India's tech and startup ecosystem? Which are the, what are the opportunities and the strengths do you see here?
I mean, India is a fabulous market. I think the sort of, tech ecosystem, like the growth has been insane. I think it's been now kind of home to some breakthrough digital first companies. I think companies like Zomato have become a benchmark, not only at a national level, but also global. I think it's fantastic what they've been doing. The startup ecosystem is buzzing. I've been around the country quite a lot, and, young entrepreneurs that come up to me and are pitching different ideas, and they're not even in their 20s. I think this is kind of tremendous, and more importantly, all this kind of drive is backed up by a very mature investor ecosystem, and probably like world-class engineering talent. We're seeing now more and more kind of, global companies having all the kind of engineer resources out of India, because the level and the skill set has been at the forefront, not only in India, but like on a global level. So I think, a lot more to come, and definitely seeing India playing a major role within the smartphone industry on a global level. And this is why I literally, like two weeks ago, announced I'm going to be taking over the India president role, because, we want to be part of that exciting journey, and I think there is a lot more to come.
Absolutely, and nothing has seen exponential growth, especially in 2024. It was the fastest growing smartphone brand here in India. How crucial is the India market for you?
Yeah, I mean, the level of excitement and energy, every time I land in India, I like that I feel and sense.
And traffic.
And traffic, and good food.
Oh, and good food, yeah.
Is actually quite incredible. And basically what happened with us is that it's an extremely tech enthusiast market. The level of knowledge when it comes to a smartphone, like the questions I would get here in India, I'll never get in terms of the specs on the product.
What kind of questions?
So recently we've been on the Phone 3 Pro, we had the UFS 2.2. And a lot of questions on that, which is basically, how smooth and how rapidly you transition data on cold storage and hot storage, which is quite technical. Like for the majority of people outside of India, even talking about processor and clocking speed and so on, they get overwhelmed. But like going to that level of expertise is quite crazy. But anyway, like, yeah, going back to, you know, when we started kind of consumer tech brand and sort of, you know, the big audience when it comes to kind of a tech-savvy audience, really helped us to kind of go very hard from the get-go because we had, you know, all that support that came out of it, and we didn't necessarily expect it, but I think that sort of comes with a country where, again, people are really strong with the tech.
Now, nothing has positioned itself as globally relevant, globally aspirational, as well as a design-first and design-forward brand. Tell me, what is your approach to creating a brand that truly stands out?
I think it has been all about standing out. You know, we started this company, we were feeling quite uninspired about what the industry had to offer. So for us, since the beginning, it was, okay, how can we do things differently? You know, I think the more established brands out there, they have a lot more to lose. If they were to try new things. But for us, from the beginning, it was all about being bolder. So we started the first kind of the low-hanging fruit, like, okay, all the products look the same. How can we make something different? Something you would kind of recognize from 2 meters away without even looking at the logo. And that's how we came up with sort of semi-transparency, design identity, and then gradually this mindset in terms of continuously questioning the status quo, you know, wanting to do things differently. It sort of trained our innovation muscle. And what started with just kind of questioning the hardware design, then gradually transitioning to, okay, what about the user experience? You know, the smartphone user experience hasn't drastically changed in the last 10 years. You know, and yet our dependency and what we do with our smartphones is crazy nowadays, right? So what worked back then is definitely not the most kind of optimal way to be interacting with your smartphone. So now with AI coming in and a lot more opportunities from that side, I think we're extremely excited to kind of really question the overall user interface of the smartphone.
But, you know, taking on big giants like Apple and Samsung, it's no small feat. You know, by way of advice for entrepreneurs, tell me, what does it take to challenge established players in the market?
Yeah, it's back to my previous point, you know, I think their scale is sort of their weaknesses. You know, again, they cannot be as bold as you can be in terms of questioning and changing things. But also, especially towards a younger demographic, I think those big corporations have grown quite distant from the user, whereas ever since we started, we've been very close to our user. You know, what we did even before releasing our first product, on our Series A, we allocated 10% of our Series A to allow people to invest. So we're seeing so much support. We're like, okay, guys, you know, here's your opportunity to have skin in the game almost, so that you don't kind of are on the side and kind of cheering for us along the way. Like this time around, you can come in and you can have a potential upside. And what we took that even further, like one of those guys, every year we elect one community board observer, and that person sits in our board meetings and kind of funnels all the feedback that comes from the user. And then on top of this, we've been, I guess, just kind of sharing our journey, our struggles, our successes along the way, and it's something that, you know, has created a very deep connection with our audience. And I guess, if you look at social media, for instance, you can see our level of engagement is far beyond any other brands out there. So I think, again, kind of playing on your agility, your scale, and your ability to kind of keep that proximity with the user, on top of course, taking bolder bets. And when it comes to product, I think that's where the opportunity lies.
Now, you have also worked with brands like OnePlus and Sony as well. Tell me, what lessons, have you sort of incorporated, from working with these businesses in terms of, how has that shaped your approach to innovation? What does innovation mean in today's day and age? Is it about the idea, the execution, understanding the market right, or everything that I just mentioned?
I guess, starting with Sony, it taught me that I would never want to be working for a big brand. It's very hard to navigate. I remember I was a campaign manager there, and they were kind of rebranding Everyday Extraordinary to, Make-Believe to Everyday Extraordinary, and trying to retrofit the narrative into the brand story. And extremely hard to do, right? Whereas, for instance, with nothing, from the get-go, we're extremely aligned. What was our brand promise? Why are we doing this? And has been, this kind of notion of wanting to make tech fun again and being extremely aligned from the get-go, kind of waterfall across the organization, and every user touch point, feels as such. And I think that kind of really strong alignment and not kind of thinking about brand or your purpose in a reactive way. I think that was a key learning. And then, OnePlus, I guess, the timing was a big part of that. Also kind of, trying to disrupt the bigger players, kind of think on new ways on how you should be engaging, with our community back then. A lot of good learnings, and of course, all the industry insights and knowledge that kind of eventually led up to us starting Nothing.
And just out of curiosity, who came up with the name Nothing?
I was born in Athens, and I was initially, I was putting a lot of different names in the kind of Greek mythology and so on, and we're kind of brainstorming, and actually Carl had a discussion with his sister, and then the next day he came in, and because we're struggling so much, because when you start a company, it's really hard to find the name, get the social media handles, get the website and so on. And he goes, guys, I'm not too sure, but what about Nothing, If you think about the end state of technology, technology should be integrated all around you, be there to kind of empower you, yet feel like nothing. That's the kind of the end state. And it took a few days, but gradually kind of grew on us. And then we realized that @Nothing on Twitter was not being used for more than kind of 7 years, which kind of tells you to claim it. And then on Instagram, you couldn't register it. So we fired a few emails. Within 24 hours, we had the handles. So we're like, okay, let's go.
You mentioned social media quite a number of times on this platform. Tell me, how important is it for a brand or a business today to have a strong social media presence, to have a voice?
I think extremely important. I think we've gone beyond just kind of making product and selling product. Any new brands out there, then you need to be inspiring your users. And there is nothing better than having that kind of direct connection. So for us, social, and last but not least, when it comes to social media, it's a free organic reach. So, you better invest, even though it's more kind of a long-term return, like invest in that early on in your journey. And for us, again, keeping that direct dialogue with our users ever since we started has been huge. And also we've been very transparent. That sort of transparency that you see in our product, we're also trying to keep it through our communication and really inviting the user to see that sort of behind the scene. And it worked really well because, again, it's about creating that emotional connection with your audience. And I think, especially in India, I see a massive opportunity. I think the younger generation is looking beyond pure kind of value for money. They want to be buying into more premium products, more aspirational products, and again, it starts by creating that emotional connection with your user base.
So, what is your vision for Nothing in India? Or where do you see the brand in the next 5 to 10 years?
We have our own plans. Maybe not yet ready to disclose, but definitely, as I mentioned last year, we're the fastest growing smartphone brand in the market. We're definitely not planning to slow down anytime soon. So we'll have definitely a big role to play quite rapidly.
So were there any roadblocks because you moved from a different market, coming to India? What were the kind of challenges did you face? And by way of advice again to entrepreneurs, what sort of advice would you give when they are looking to explore different markets?
I think it's, at the end of the day, it comes down, breathe and leave the local market. I think for me, again, I've been coming, I think I've spent more time here in India than with my wife and kids. So I think, part of that is just really kind of understanding the ecosystem, understanding the user, and yeah, that gives you a lot of insight on how to navigate. But again, my advice is more to look at the foundation of your brand and company. I feel like with globalization, and I see it even in India, you know, even the way, you know, the youngsters like dress up, like even in the last 5 years, like people, the fashion is becoming quite similar now, even with the Western world and India, something that, you know, eventually the first time I visited India 10 years ago wasn't necessarily the case. So I think from a brand standpoint, being able to build something that resonates globally is number one priority. And after, of course, from a go-to-market perspective, you will have a different kind of level of adaptation and how to navigate in the different kind of markets. But yeah, that's how I look at it.
Who do you see as competition today?
We always like to think the biggest competition is ourselves. You know, I think we are in the market that the possibilities are infinite. So, you know, being able to, you know, keep a level of focus on the, you know, keep on a specific strategy versus kind of trying to want to go too big, too fast. I think that's going to be the key thing for us, and staying true to, you know, why we started this company, and ensure that sort of brand consistency and building that emotional connection with our users, like, is still kind of really consistent. And this is why we have that kind of community board observer to ensure he keeps us in check at all time.
Now, technology is a huge part of your business. You know, for entrepreneurs who want to leverage technology in corporate tech into their businesses, what advice would you have for them?
Again, I think, you know, there needs to be a shift in mindset. You know, it's not only about selling products anymore. You know, I think the best brands out there, they not only sell products, but also inspire people. And I think that's what the younger demographic is craving for. And I think that's where the opportunity is. So again, getting your brand promise right, why you're starting this, what you're solving out there, and be super clear about it and really over-communicate about it. I think that's proved to be very successful for us, at least.
And finally, tell me, what does it take to have a global mindset? As we are wrapping up this conversation, you know, what would be the 2 or 3 key things that you would advise entrepreneurs to definitely do, a checklist they might have?
Global mindsets. Yeah, touch base on this, but again, I think globalization has kind of blurred the lines between the different kind of geographies. Just ensure you kind of are super clear in terms of what you are solving, creating that kind of emotional connection with your audience as well. And I think maybe the second one, really building your own kind of communication channels to ensure you kind of nurture and build those relationships as you scale. Yeah.
All right. Well, Akis, it was lovely chatting with you. Before we let you go, I want to know, because our show is called Leaders of Tomorrow, what does leadership mean to you?
I think leadership comes down to inspiring the people around you. You know, I think there is nothing better than someone that kind of comes to work and is exciting, willing to come and willing to kind of help you build the company. So inspiring both, I guess, you know, our employees, people that are coming to work, it's as important as kind of inspiring people that are using our products. So for me, that's definitely the most important part.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Akis. It was lovely chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ritvika, for that. Akis, can I request you to stay on just a little while longer? Thank you, Ritvika, for that. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the story of nothing. I'd now like to invite back up on stage Chinmay Doble. Chinmay, may we request you to please join Akis on stage to give a very special recognition, a much-deserved innovative leadership in technology, special recognition to Akis Evangelidis. Akis, I'm sorry, I always seem to mispronounce your surname. I apologize for that. But don't blacklist me on the phone, okay? I have to buy your phone. Ladies and gentlemen, huge round of applause. Innovative leadership in technology. Thank you, Chinmay. Thank you, Akis, for that. All right, it's now time for another exciting fireside chat. Now, as we dive into the theme, driving global disruption for next-gen leaders. Now, our next speaker is a visionary entrepreneur who transformed a homegrown startup into one of India's leading consumer electronics brand. In 2016, he co-founded a brand that revolutionized the audio and lifestyle electronics market in India with affordable, stylish, and high-quality products. His bold marketing strategies and customer-first approach have made both a household name across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together to welcome Aman Gupta, co-founder and CMO, Boat Lifestyle. And I'd like to get Ritvika back on stage to steer the conversation.
All right, thank you, Sumit. So today we are going to be talking about disruption, Aman. That's the topic for the conversation. And I want to begin by asking you, what is disruption in today's day and age? What defines a disruptive brand, according to you?
Hi, Ruchika. Thank you, Times team, to call me here. Feeling excited. You guys are all from Delhi? You can talk in Hindi?
I think everybody, yes.
We can talk in Hindi?
Of course.
Yeah, sure, guys. It's okay, right? So I'll mix
Please
it
go
up.
ahead, yes.
No, मैं पूछ लेता हूँ ना, पता ना कोई डांट देता है कि नहीं तो ऐसे. So what is disruption? There are मैं कैसे बताऊँ disruption? There are two ways to say disruption. एक तो वो जैसे आप 3 Idiots में बोलते हैं कि रटी रटाई language होती है ना कि disruption is to disrupt things and do things differently. मेरे हिसाब से disruption मतलब that is an English dictionary meaning. But what is disruption is what we can see right now, the biggest disruption happening is probably the quick commerce world, right? Consumer जो है ना हमारा वो बहुत change होता रहता है, correct? आप disruption देखो जो आज वो ला रहे हैं quick commerce world 15 minute में delivery. We are all used to what 2 days delivery. Amazon came into India and showed us what 1 day delivery, 2 day delivery means, right? And today the biggest disruption happening is quick commerce, which has showed us 15-minute delivery, whether it's Zepto, Blinkit, Swiggy. And now if we see the disruption which Amazon did 5 years back, 7 years back in India, is now being disrupted by the new age guys. And if you see now how if Amazon, Flipkart do not go back to their drawing board and start doing 15-minute delivery, they will be disrupted. Correct? They are over. What they disrupted is now being disrupted. I think disruption as a word is become like every day there is disruption happening, even in my industry, right? Like abhi Nothing was talking. If you see Nothing, OnePlus came in, they tried to, Apple, they tried to disrupt Apple, and then some Apple came, they disrupted probably Microsoft a few years back, and now Nothing is trying to disrupt something in the mobile phone world, right? Same way we came in, we tried to do things differently, we disrupted. And today we don't move with the changing consumer, we will be disrupted.
Disruption को हिंदी में क्या कहते हैं?
तोड़-फोड़.
तोड़-फोड़.
नहीं, I don't know. क्या बोलेंगे with disruption?
No, I think I like तोड़-फोड़. Let's go ahead with that. But I want to ask
तोड़-फोड़, right?
No, absolutely. तोड़-फोड़, absolutely. No, but seriously, when you started Boat, did you know that this is going to तोड़-फोड़, this is going to disrupt, or did it like evolve over the time?
Good question, ma'am. But actually, when we started, we never thought we will, in fact, it was my birthday 3 days back.
Happy birthday to you. We should sing you a birthday song before you leave.
No, thank you. But 3 days back, it was my birthday, and I actually posted on my Instagram also on LinkedIn that what has happened to me is something which I also didn't believe in, right? God has been more kind to me than what I wanted. I never wished for what has happened to me. Namaste, Vivek sir, hi. So I never wished for what, like that we will be such a big company, or I will be, a shark, or I will get so much recognition. There is a, जो महाभारत में पुराने ज़माने में कहते थे काम करे जाओ और सब वो नहीं word नहीं था हाँ काम करते रहो और सब
yeah and don't think about the
don't
fal
think of,
yeah
हाँ
right.
उसकी फल की चिंता मत करो
correct
right तो same मतलब वो बहुत पावरफुल लाइन है कि मैं मेरे साथ भी यही हुआ मैम कि मैंने सोचा नहीं था कि हम लोग ने जब स्टार्ट किया था हमने सोचा था यार अगर हम 1 करोड़ का भी सेल कर दें तो हम खुश हो जाएंगे. वी वर ब्रिंगिंग गुड प्रोडक्ट्स at good price points with logical marketing. Very simple philosophy. We did not have dreams that, you know, we will build the next big thing. We just, you know, some people do that, right? If you see, there's some people who dream big, we will make this company like this. Yeah. We just thought we'll do well for ourselves. We never thought that we will today be the second largest audio brand in the world, which we are. Thank you for the claps. Here we are. Yeah, but we never thought we will be second largest, and we became one, right? So sometimes God has higher plans for you than what you think of. So I never thought that we will be that big, to answer your question.
But tell me something, you're meeting a lot of entrepreneurs, you know, what is driving today's entrepreneurs and what sets them apart from previous generations?
प्रीवियस जनरेशन मैम जब वो बिजनेस वो पहले तो एंटरप्रेन्योर वर्ड भी अभी नया बना है, ठीक है. अगर आप शार्क टैंक देखो तो सारे शार्क्स उसे प्रोनाउंस भी अलग वे से करते हैं. बट प्रीवियस जनरेशंस वर नेवर लुकिंग एट एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप एज एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप. इट यूज्ड टू बी कॉल्ड बिजनेस. हम लोग बिजनेसमैन बोलते थे उसे, और बिजनेसमैन चोर होता था. अगर उसने पैसे बनाए तो उसने चोरी से बनाए होते थे. दैट वाज द परसेप्शन. बट नाउ इफ यू सी आई मीट अ लॉट ऑफ यंग पीपल in youngsters who want to start something of their own. They don't mind being startup founders. So the definition has changed, that it is now cool to be a founder, right? It was a little uncool to be a founder earlier, but now it's very cool. Sometimes I feel it's a problem also that people are just joining business and becoming a founder just to be a founder. In fact, my brother-in-law came to me one day and says, he's my distant relative brother-in-law, and he's like, yeah, I want to start a business, can you give me some idea? And I'm like, dude, aise nahi hota, you know. Like, people want to start just for the heck of starting, which is a little negative for the country. But being a founder now is being respected. Being a founder now is being celebrated. You know, if you look at even Startup Day is being celebrated by our Honorable Prime Minister. He says Startup Day, right? We celebrate that. Now, if you see, there is Shark Tank India has come in, which we also played a small role as, you know, पहले हम लोग जब बड़े हो रहे थे तो क्रिकेटर्स के साथ फोटो खिंचवाते थे. आप देखो कि आजकल लोग हमारे साथ भी खिंचवाते हैं. So founders also not celebrity, celebrating entrepreneurship, I would say, right? It is earlier we used to know about Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, you know, those big you know, American founders, but now Indian founders के बारे में भी लोग बात करते हैं. So which is good thing. So it's a sea change which has happened, is what I feel. In last 7-8 years I have seen it as entrepreneurship and founders has never been like what it is today. So it's good time to all, I keep telling that to all founders, it's a good time to start up in India. It's the right time to start in India.
What do you think are some of the common mistakes that startup founders, small business owners make, you know, when they are just about starting off?
कॉमन मिस्टेक्स मैं अपने हिसाब से बताता हूँ. मेरे 2-3 बिजनेसेस मैंने स्टार्ट किए थे और वो फेल हो गए थे. तो आई थिंक मैंने एक चीज़ की थी, कभी कभी प्रोडक्ट मार्केट फिट होता नहीं है और हम स्टार्ट कर देते हैं कंपनी, राइट? और प्रोडक्ट है नहीं, कंपनी बनानी शुरू कर दी थी हमने. जब मैंने पहली कंपनी बनाई थी तो मैंने क्या किया था कि पहले HR टीम बना दी, फिर IT टीम बना दिया, फिर फाइनेंस टीम बना दी, लेकिन प्रोडक्ट ही नहीं चला तो सारे वेस्ट हो गए. फिर जब हमने बोर्ड बनाई समीर ने और मैंने, तो हमने पहले प्रोडक्ट और मार्केटिंग पे फोकस करी कि किसी प्रोडक्ट ठीक बनाए, मार्केट में चल जाए, फिर हम बाकी खर्चे करेंगे. तो हमने पहले उस पर फोकस किया रादर देन फोकसिंग मोर. जब हम आते हैं, मैं JBL से निकला था ना, तो मेरे माइंड में ऐसा था कि जब कंपनी होती है तो उसमें HR की टीम अलग होती है, सेल्स टीम अलग होती है, फाइनेंस टीम अलग होती है, लॉजिस्टिक्स टीम होती है. तो ऐसे एक माइंडसेट होता है. लेकिन तभी हमने उसी टाइम पे सोचा कि जब खुद स्टार्ट करते हैं तो आप सब कुछ खुद होते हो. आज हमारी टीम में कुछ 500 लोग काम करते हैं, मतलब अप्रॉक्सीमेटली. बट आज मुझे पता है कि सब टीम्स अलग हैं. जब तक हमारी 500 करोड़ का सेल नहीं होती, हमने HR ही नहीं रखा था, हमें ही HR हेड था. हम लोग सोशल से काम करते थे ताकि ताकि ये कभी इंटरनेट नहीं आ रहा, कभी एडमिन का कोई इशू, ये सब छोड़ दिया था. मतलब लॉजिस्टिक्स पे ध्यान दे रहे थे, और सिक्योरिटी वगैरह हमने कुछ नहीं रखा था ना. सिक्योरिटी टीम थी, आउटसोर्स करा हुआ था हमने पूरा फाइनेंस. तो हमने अपना, हमारे MIS भी, हमारी फाइनेंस सब आउटसोर्स हुआ था. तो हमने अपनी टीम ही नहीं बनाई थी. जब हमारे पास थोड़े पैसे आने लगे तब हमने खर्चे करने शुरू किए, वरना हम लोग हर चीज खुद ही करते थे. सो दिस इज वन ऑफ द लर्निंग्स विच आई हैड फ्रॉम माय प्रीवियस रोल.
Right. You know, Leaders of Tomorrow is also a daily show on ET Now. And in my conversation with a lot of small business owners, they talk about staying relevant. They talk about reinventing. I want to know, what is your playbook, in terms of reinvention?
Again, ma'am, same point as your first question of disruption. Reinventing is very important because consumer is reinventing himself every day, right? If you talk about, my daughter, she's now if I tell her, Facebook में होता है तो कहती है Facebook वो क्या चीज़ है, right? But अगर आप लोगों से पूछो तो सबसे ज़्यादा लोग Facebook में होंगे हमारे. फिर अब Instagram में चले गए, right? My daughter does not have an Instagram account, but she has a Snapchat account. So you see the consumer is moving to Snapchat. Now if I don't move with the changing consumer, I will die. Same point जो आपने first बोला. तो being relevant is very important, that you know who your consumer is and start giving him or her the products he needs as per the changing times, market it as per the current marketing ways, and reach him as per the current distribution channels, because the marketing has changed from Facebook to Instagram to Snapchat. The channels have changed from probably X to Y to Z. Like probably there are a lot of these guys. Like my elder one, she used to say कि Amazon से मंगा दो, जो छोटी है वो कहती है कि अरे पापा Blinkit से मंगा दो. So the verb is changing. The distribution channel is changing. Now if I'm not there on Blinkit, I will die. You know what I mean? So there are consumers who are changing. So I'm saying the distribution channels are changing, the marketing channels are changing, the consumer is changing. To stay relevant, you need to change. And if you don't change, you die.
So on the show, we also talk about scaling up, about approaching VCs, about funding. Is there a perfect pitch? Because you have listened to so many of them in your last few years. Is there a perfect pitch?
No. I would say don't take funding.
Why?
Given a choice, I would never take a funding. I'd keep telling all the entrepreneurs that funding should be your last resource, right? Funding also, unfortunately, is being celebrated in the country now. That people say कि funding मिल गई, congratulations. उन्हें ये नहीं पता कि हमारे तो investors बहुत अच्छे हैं, Fireside और Wobug. उन्हें नहीं पता कि अगर कोई गंदा investor मिल जाए तो उनके साथ क्या होगा, right? आपने तो सुनी है, आप ही ने कहानियाँ इतनी छापी हैं उनके बारे में. So there are so many investors. If you get bad investors, you get, you don't live peacefully. It's like marriage, right? So please choose your investor properly, because if a bad investor comes, you are getting.
But from the other lens,
and it's very difficult to get a divorce also there.
No, absolutely. But from the other side of the lens, what do you look at, when you are assessing whether you want to invest in a startup or not?
I look at the founder, ma'am. It's very, if you look at when we started, we were also not getting funding. So we were also not getting a lot of funding from a lot of people. People used to reject us. More than selection, it was rejection for us. So I always say that the founder is very important, and if the founder is good, like when we got rejected, then there was this guy called Kavaljeet, Fireside Ventures. He invested in us. He invested 6 crores in us, and we have already given him 100 crores back, and he still holds around 3% in our company. But he invested in Samir and me as people. He did not invest in anything else. He looked at कि यार ये लोग कुछ ना कुछ तो कर लेंगे. मेरा भी यही होता है, मैम, अगर अच्छे फाउंडर पे इन्वेस्ट करोगे ना तो कुछ ना कुछ करके कर लेगा, फोड़ देगा.
That's very interesting. So it's more about the founder and less about the company? Or
yes, more about the founder and less about the company. Till a point the company becomes big that the company takes over and the founder is not as much required. Like if you look at bigger companies now, we all love Ratan Tata ji. He's not there, but look at how he's created that institution that people still want to fly Vistara. And not any other airline. It's just the service he's created. You guys hold event at Taj Hotels because Taj Hotel is, the service is good. So then the legacy, and then you create an organization. But initially, at the stage I invest in, which is very early, I look at the founder.
So I'm going to ask you a little bit of a tricky question. Not a tricky question, but actually I really want to know, especially from you, what is the toughest part about being an entrepreneur that not too many people talk about?
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, no, I'm saying I'm answering. It's
Yes,
tough.
yes.
Not only a question. But
Wow, what is the toughest?
Even being an entrepreneur is not easy, ma'am. Basically, पता है क्या होता है? Expectation बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाती है हमसे. जब नौकरी छोड़ के आते हैं लोगों को लगता है कि यार कंपनी तो अच्छा करेगी और ये अच्छा करेगा. फिर इतनी लोगों की उम्मीद होती है, उनको समझाओ अब क्या बिजनेस करना है. आपकी आंखों में वो होता है कि आप वो बिजनेस करने वाले हो जो इंडिया का सब नेक्स्ट बिग थिंग होगी. लेकिन जब रियलिटी स्टक होती है कि भाई इतना इजी नहीं है धंधा करने में, अंदर घुसते हो तो पता लगता है ये प्रॉब्लम है, वो प्रॉब्लम है, ऐसी प्रॉब्लम है, वैसी प्रॉब्लम है. आपको प्रॉब्लम तो बाद में पता लगती है. फिर दुनिया को पहले फिर फंडिंग उठाओ, वो प्रॉब्लम होती है. फिर फंडिंग उठाओ तो उसको फंडिंग को नेक्स्ट लेवल पे लेके जाओ. फिर नेक्स्ट फंडिंग लाओ क्योंकि पुराने फंडिंग को इन्वेस्टर को पैसा देना है. फिर तो क्या होता है आप एक उसमें घूमते रहते हो. नॉट ओनली इन्वेस्टर, फिर कंपनी एक लेवल पे लेके जाते हो. फिर होता है कि अगले साल और बड़ी करनी है, फिर अगले बार और बड़ी करनी है. फिर इकोसिस्टम का होता है कि यू नो पीपल स्टार्ट लुकिंग एट यू कि यार अब नेक्स्ट क्या करेंगे, नेक्स्ट बड़ा क्या होगा. So it's not entrepreneurship. Sometimes it becomes, as they say, it's a lonely journey, right? And only you know what is happening with you or your company, right? And you have to answer to so many things, so many people. Look at unfortunate case of Byju's today, right? They were. I remember sitting in the same hall where you had invited Byju's to talk about Byju's, but now nobody invites them. Look how things change. Media changes. आप ही लोग ऊपर लेके जाते हो, आप ही गिराते हो फिर, राइट? उसका भी डर लगता है यार. नहीं. बट आप लोगों से बहुत डर लगता है मुझे मीडिया से. जहां बुलाते हो मैं आ जाता हूँ. यस सर, यस मैम, आप बताइए, क्वेश्चन बताइए. तो मीडिया से डर लगता है, मीडिया पीछे पड़ जाती है. अगर कुछ कांड कर दो तो देखो उसका बेचारे का हाल. क्या नाम है हमारे बायजूस छोड़ो, इन्फ्लुएंसर जो था वो रणबीर अलवादिया, उसकी भी देखो, unfortunately he's also not said the right things. But I'm just saying that it's not easy to be an entrepreneur. The world is first your family is looking at you, then the world is looking at you, then the media is looking at you, then the employees are looking at you. It's a lonely journey. But you have to, what you do is you got to do what you got to do. You have to come back strong and answer the naysayers, answer the critics, and build a company, build a large organization, build a sustainable organization, build a profitable organization, and do the right things. And rest, leave it on God, leave it on your consumers, and probably they'll take care of you.
Absolutely. Like I was mentioning to Akis a while back, that a lot of the entrepreneurs I speak to on my show, they have a sense of aspiration, ambition. They want to go global, and that's exactly why we came up with the theme, Powering Entrepreneurs for the Global Stage. What is your advice on taking a business from local to global?
I'm a big believer of that, man. In fact, if I ask anybody in this room here this question, apart from these, outsourcing, labor outsourcing companies, can you tell me 10 brands from India, brands, which have made their name outside India? Anybody?
Anybody?
Eh?
Being Human.
Being Human, अच्छा बाहर पहुंच गया वो? नहीं, मेरे को पता नहीं है, मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ, मुझे आइडिया नहीं है.
I think Being Human is in some places, but
Wow.
I don't think that would be
वो
one.
नाम याद आया सबको.
Yeah, I don't know why Being Human was mentioned, but yes,
Wow.
there's so many.
Mahindra, yes.
Yeah, there is Oyo, there is
Tata, yes.
Yeah.
देखो मैम कितनी प्रॉब्लम हो रही है 10 नाम लेने में, सबको वो 2-4 नाम याद आ जाएंगे. Being Human is the first time I have heard any name, but there are not many brands globally which are there, right? They might be, but if I ask you about US brands, you can name them right now. आज बता दोगे आप, ये चला Amazon, Google, Amazon, सबका नाम अभी पता लग जाएगा. But Indian brands इतने नहीं थे. क्यों पता है? हम लोगों की ना पहले हमारे अंदर कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं था. हमारे अंदर अगर पूछो स्टारबक्स क्या है, मैं तो सबको यही कहता हूँ, स्टारबक्स चाय की दुकान है. सही में चाय की दुकान है, कॉफी की दुकान है. बट उसने सोचा बड़ा था. उसकी सोच हमसे बड़ी थी कि उसने सोचा कि मैं ग्लोबल ब्रांड बनाता हूँ. हमारे यहाँ भी कितनी चाय की दुकानें हैं, कितनी कॉफी की दुकानें हैं. हमने क्यों नहीं सोचा कि हम जाके यूएस में जाके चाय की दुकान बनाएंगे जहाँ पे लाइन लगेगी हमारे को खरीदने की, राइट? मैं तो एक दिन पहले भी बोला था कि एप्पल के फोन आते हैं यहाँ पे, सारे इंडियंस पागल हो जाते हैं कि लाइन लगा के कि हमें चाहिए वाला फोन. क्यों? हम क्यों नहीं सोच सकते कि हम भी किसी फॉरेन कंट्री में जाके अपने ब्रांड बेचेंगे जिसमें फॉरेनर्स लाइन लगा के हमारा ब्रांड खरीदेंगे, राइट? दैट टाइम हैज चेंज्ड. एक टाइम था जब राहुल द्रविड़ बैटिंग करता था ना, तो तब वो ना कोई अगर उन्हें स्लेज करता था तो लोग तो वो स्लेज लेके आ जाते थे. आज विराट कोहली और यशस्वी जायसवाल खुद जाके स्लेज करते हैं, करेक्ट? तो इंडिया में ना वो कॉन्फिडेंस आया नया. इंडियंस नाउ आर रेडी टू, यू नो, अगर आप देखो इवन आवर ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर, ही गिव्स अस दैट एनकरेजमेंट, ही गिव्स अस दैट मोटिवेशन कि गाइस गो बिल्ड अ ब्रांड, लेट्स, लाइक उन्होंने पहले कहा था स्टार्टअप इंडिया, तो हम सब ने स्टार्ट किया. फिर उन्होंने बोला मेक इन इंडिया, वी स्टार्टेड आवर एफर्ट. नाउ ही इज सेइंग लेट्स मेक इन इंडिया फॉर द वर्ल्ड. सो नाउ एंटरप्रेन्योर्स लाइक अस आर ड्रीमिंग दैट व्हाई कांट वी बिल्ड global brands, and I think in the next couple of years you'll see a lot of Indian brands which will do well.
Fantastic. You know, you spoke about Starbucks, you know, there's also McDonald's, a lot of things where people resonate them with like global brands, and, you know, and they'll probably like pick over maybe homegrown brands. But do you think it is changing, that is slowly changing as well? Like, are brands in India also, can they also compete with these global giants as well?
क्यों नहीं कर सकते? मैं पूछ रहा हूँ. आप नहीं कर रहे, आप लोगों ने CNN से नहीं लड़ाई करी और देखो आप लोग बेटर कर रहे हो. नहीं, क्यों नहीं कर सकते? मुझे एक रीजन बताओ. यही तो प्रॉब्लम है कि हम सोच नहीं सकते कि हम क्यों नहीं ग्लोबल ब्रांड बन सकते. हम कर सकते हैं. यू नो, आपने शार्क टैंक देखा है? तो शार्क टैंक में मैंने एक डायलॉग बोला था, हम भी बना लेंगे. हाँ, तो वो डायलॉग नहीं था खाली, वो ये थी, वो एक उम्मीद थी कि बस हम कुछ भी कर सकते हैं. देयर इज नथिंग विच वी कांट डू, राइट? आई वॉज वर्किंग फॉर अ कंपनी. When I was working for JBL, I used to think JBL क्या है? JBL का फुल फॉर्म होता है JB Lansing. JB Lansing एक बंदा था जिसने स्टार्ट की थी JBL. वो भी तो बंदा था. तो हम क्यों नहीं बना सकते इंडिया से एक ऐसी कंपनी जो JBL को कंपटीशन करे? कर सकते हैं ना. तो मैं कह रहा हूँ कि हम अब नया इंडिया, न्यू इंडिया इज नॉट स्कैर्ड. न्यू इंडिया इज रेडी टू बाय इंडियन ब्रांड्स. In fact, if you talk to the young folks, and I keep talking to these guys, they actually prefer Indian brands over global brands. They actually feel that, अगर एक दो brands का नाम लेता हूँ, एक कंपनी है मोको बोरा, वो भी इंडियन ब्रांड है, ठीक है, वो भी बिक रही है. एक कंपनी है जे वॉकिंग, टी शर्ट्स बनाती है, वो भी उसकी सॉलिड टी शर्ट्स बिक रही है. अब पहले वो टाइम होता था ना, लोग वो फिरंगी ब्रांड नाम रखते थे कि लुई फिलिप जैसे. अब नहीं कोई जरूरत होती. अब इंडियन ब्रांड्स का नाम रखते हैं, वो भी चलता है. तो पीपल डोंट माइंड buying Indian brands anymore.
Absolutely. So tell me, Aman, do you see boat evolving beyond audio and wearables? Is there a plan?
हाँ है, बट मैं आपको बताऊंगा नहीं.
यहाँ नहीं बताएंगे तो कहाँ बताएंगे?
अरे नहीं, मैं नहीं अभी बताऊंगा. पता क्या होता है प्रॉब्लम? मैं कुछ बोलता हूँ, साला मेरे कॉम्पिटिटर पढ़ लेते हैं और वो पहले हमसे पहले लॉन्च कर देते हैं. नहीं, अभी आप देखना, अभी आगे देखो होता है क्या. अभी बहुत कुछ है पाइपलाइन में.
Absolutely. And before I let you go, one last question, because we started with the theme of disruption and torpor, like you said. So what is that one formula for, you know, for entrepreneurs out there to actually really disrupt industries across the board?
Be true to your consumer and think consumer backward, and have confidence that you can. It's like have confidence that you can also do it. That's it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Aman Gupta, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Ritvika, for that. Aman, may I request you to stay on just for a couple more minutes? Ladies and gentlemen, direct dil se Aman Gupta right there. I'd like to also call up on stage Varun Kohli and Mihir Bhatt, if we can have you both on stage. And to present the much deserved icon of new age entrepreneurship, special recognition to Aman Gupta. Ladies and gentlemen, let's keep that applause going for Aman Gupta as he is felicitated here at Leaders of Tomorrow Awards Season 12. Thank you so much for that. All right, now we have another power-packed session. It's a unique one because this is where experience meets young ambition. Now, our next speaker's journey is a testament to resilience and determination. From humble beginnings to creating one of India's largest diagnostic chains, his journey is an inspiring playbook of success. Now tonight he takes the hot seat for an unfiltered rapid fire session with a young 18-year-old entrepreneur, the founder of Joule, a student-centric event platform. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming up on stage Dr. A. Velumani, the creator of Thyrocare, and he'll be in conversation with Anand Mane, the founder at Joule.
Good morning, sir. How are you feeling? Excellent. Can't grumble. Life cannot be better. Okay, let's go. Sir, so first of all, I want to talk to you about your Instagram page. There are so many reels, and when I go to those reels, they're like literally every subject from my life matters to entrepreneurial problems covered. So what is the motivation behind creating an Instagram page so much like filled with content?
Not that I knew that I will be that powerful. My Instagram handle is only 12 months old. It's 2.4 million followers. For this old, bald, probably bold man, I have been getting a good response. Having said that, I was a born farmer, became a scientist,
Right.
then became an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
then I became a storyteller, then I am called as an entertainer, and now I am called an influencer.
Yes, sir.
I think I have done all the roles as perfectly as possible, and I am very happy I could do that.
So let's get into it. Sir, what's that one piece of mainstream advice which young entrepreneurs should ignore early on?
They should
Ignore.
ignore.
Yes.
Advice, they should ignore.
Yes.
Yeah, think big. I think this is something which creates some kind of disconnect with me. I was earning 1 rupee a day in 1971 when I was 11 years old. Mera dream tha 10 rupiya kabhi banega. And then in 78, I started earning 10 rupees a day, and then when it will be 100 a day. I think aisa ek zero piche kiya tha when I reached literally 1 crore a day making. So I think it makes sense to go and step by step, don't take rest. You must have heard the story of tortoise and rabbit.
Yes, sir.
Always the rabbit sleeps. Don't be a sleeping rabbit. You will be very powerful.
Okay, sir. What's that one moment in your life where you thought you would like quit and like everything was falling apart, but you kept on? What kept you going, and how did you motivate yourself, sir?
I think once you start enjoying and the fun doesn't stop, why do you think of quitting? Number one. A lot of people quit only because they have borrowed too much or they have promised too much to the investor. Right?
Yes.
And their product is not working.
Yes.
And their team is not getting built. So these are the situations where they think I should call it a day. I think I had such a wonderful journey.
Yes, sir.
If you take, this is success, this is timeline.
Yes, sir.
My growth was not like this. My growth was literally very smooth. So I never had a situation. I've never borrowed. Personally, I have never borrowed in my life. Company has never borrowed till it reached $1 billion market cap. And I had no money of any investor has come into this company except Times, which had invested in 2003 first time inside the company. All others were secondary deal. I had a comfort. So kabhi aisa man nahi kiya ki quit.
I think that deserves an applause.
Thank you.
Sir, what's that one unpopular or controversial opinion you have about entrepreneurship?
There is no controversial opinion about entrepreneurship. I think everybody is taking entrepreneurship as a 100-meter dash. It's a marathon race.
Yes, sir.
It took 20 years for me to get it listed, and then 27th year I exited. I believe you have to have patience first.
Yes, sir.
A second year engineering graduate is thinking that right now he is the right man to do that thing which he thinks is right. He says, I don't have money, but he wants to become very successful. I think without money, you can never do business.
Yes, sir.
And money comes only when you convince. And if you have got someone convinced, you can do that business. But the hurry in which people approach is little worrying. That's the only thing which I see challenge.
Yes, sir. Sir, do you think entrepreneurs have it easier now or when you were starting out?
I think it is pregnancy. Earlier it was easier. Today it is tougher. So because the thing process changes, same problems.
Yes, sir.
Getting the attention of the customer is the biggest problem. So if you ask me, those days it looked like difficult. But today actually it is more difficult. Because people may tell a lot of opportunities are there, but then a lot of competition also is there. Until you really, I think the word disruption, very, very important. There are three kinds of situations. One, you disrupt.
Yes.
Second, you get disrupted. The third one, you self-disrupt. And when you are very comfortable, you need to self-disrupt. So I think in that way, today, doing business is no different from the business which was done then, except that a lot of terminologies are there.
Yes, sir.
Those days, this terminology, there was no entrepreneur word, there was no venture capital, and I never had an itching to do the pitching. So to be very honest, today, terminologies which we don't understand, yes, but business doing then and now are more or less same.
Yes, sir. Sir, if you had the chance to trade places with someone like me, an 18-year-old entrepreneur who is just starting out today, would you do it? Why or why not?
Repeat.
Sir, if you could trade places with someone like me, who's an 18-year-old entrepreneur just starting out, would you trade places with me? Would you or would you not?
I have still not understood the question.
No, sir. If you could trade places...
Trade
places.
Oh, trade places.
Yeah.
I think I have enjoyed my life.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to undergo all the things once again, unless otherwise, ऐसा ही बाल मुझे भी आएगा और ऐसा भी तुम जैसे शादी करोगे वैसा मैं भी कर सकता हूँ. Probably I will, but then that's not that simple to imagine.
Sir, if you had to bet on one industry today for the next 10 years, what would be it?
What do you do is not as important as how do you do it. Very often people think that इसमें हाथ लगा दूं तो मैं धनवान बन जाएगा. Let me tell you, everything has its own pains and pleasures. Yes, what do? You need to do perfection, and you are there. I got into business 25 years back in a pathology industry.
Yes.
When I got inside, 5,000 players were doing thyroid testing. Within 5 years, I found only 500 people were taller than me. Within another 5 years, I saw only 50 people taller than me. Another 5 years, I saw only 5 people taller than me. Then I exited because there is nothing much to truly chase. So I believe if you do it perfectly, you can do anything. Unmet needs and undermet needs are the need of the society. And let me tell you, there are only two ways of doing business. Only two ways of doing business. You must give for the same price a better quality. Or for the same quality, you must reduce the price. There is no third way of doing business.
Sir, do you think India is the best place to do business right now?
India is the largest populated country, biggest market. If not today, tomorrow, when you start business, if you miss out India, anybody who thinks of global coming from outside, India is the only market can get you leadership. And even India, if you do business, go to big populated states, it can be a very powerful business. India is a happening place, and I am looking at you. I want to congratulate you right now, because by year 2050 or 2060, India will be the largest economy in the world, and you will be ruling.
Definitely, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, these days you've been calling yourself the mass mentor. What is a mass mentor, and what is your goal with being a mass mentor?
Tamil Nadu has a word called mass, matlab grand. So I thought there is no designation, no one has put as mass mentor. So I thought I will put a hashtag mass mentor. And let me tell you, if I have a 2.5 million followers,
yes,
I think I'm a mass mentor.
Yes, definitely.
And I don't want it to be considered as one-to-one mentor. I don't do one-to-one mentor because it is impossible to mentor you. because you are such an young chap, your vision, your dream, your ambition is so big, I sometimes fail. But I am keen to do mass mentoring where on a stage, I create 1 hour talking, at least create 1,000 jobs. I love doing it. I have become addicted to standing ovations. That is why I have quit my business. Nowadays, full time on the stage, motivating people.
So you talk about family and the support of family a lot in your reels. Could you just shed some light on it and how much of family matters in a person's entrepreneurial journey?
Let me give you a punchline. You are only 18-year-old. You must keep this in your mind. If your spouse trusts you, your energy is 10x.
Okay.
And if the spouse doubts you, the energy is 0.1x. अभी शादी करोगे या नहीं वो तुम्हारी decision है. मैं तो डरा दिया. I was fortunate. I had a spouse who gave me complete support to be where I am today. In fact, I have exited the business because she exited the world. Had I not lost my wife, I might have never exited the business. That important is spouse. That important is family.
Yes, sir.
That important is your family.
Yes, sir.
Even that important is your a ration card from which you have come. And I believe we manage 3 families, me and my wife, our family, and a ration card from which she has come and a ration card from which I have come. 3 families are most supporting, and I have done a very powerful business only because family trusted me.
Yes.
If you are not a leader in the family, there is least likelihood you are a leader in the company.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So you also talk about your mother a lot, sir, because she was a driving force for your journey from becoming a scientist.
Yeah, many people ask me, you have never borrowed. Personally, never borrowed. Company has never borrowed. Where you learn to financial prudence.
Yes.
And let me tell you, my mother was a lady with 5 children, no income. And my mother reared 2 buffaloes, 10 liters of milk a day, 70 rupees per week, 1 rupee a liter. And with that 70 rupees, she made sure all her children were Madras University graduates and Mumbai University postgraduate. I don't think anybody else can journey so powerfully. Having said that, I talked about 2 ladies. And let me tell you my punchline, which I often tell as the last punchline on my talk. If men are successful, families prosper. If women are successful, societies prosper. So I believe I have made an impact in the pathology industry because of the 2 ladies, that's my mother and my wife.
Yes, sir. Sir, you are a born storyteller, as I can already see. How much of a role does storytelling play in a brand or a company, like a consumer-facing company?
I think storytelling is very, very important. In fact, I want to claim on even public stages, I am the 2nd best storyteller in the country. Are you wondering who is first? That's it, right? It's very important. With nothing in hand, you can make everybody to see something which you are seeing, then you don't need to work. That's the power of the leader.
Yes, sir.
And a leader doesn't tell story, the people who are following will not understand anything.
Yes, sir.
I think I have been a family leader.
Yes, sir.
Then I have become a company leader. I believe leadership needs storytelling. And if you don't tell story, people will not understand and will not follow you.
Yes, sir. Sir, also one last question from my end. So from your journey from a scientist to an entrepreneur and like having so much research and thyroid, what's that one thing that kept you motivating all through that? Because it was a long journey, obviously, right? Till you went public and then you exited.
Let me tell you, I'm a boy from a village, could majestically walk into stock exchange. I was a mathematics man. I had not done medical degree, but I could disrupt the pathology industry. I was a Sarkar Babu for 15 years. And it is told if you are in Sarkar for 15 years, literally you are having 0 energy. But I think at an age of 37, I got into there. Yes. And Matarasi, sitting in
So
Mumbai.
I'm from Bangalore itself.
Sitting in Mumbai, and I could challenge the Marwadis and Gujaratis to tell that maybe who kuch kar sakta hoon. So that's way it's a very great journey. But what kept me going, motivating, I think lage raho, I was enjoying, the company was growing. The company has grown 25 years, CAGR of 25%. That's the motivation. When the company is growing, nothing you get disturbed. And the company in the entire world, India is cheapest in healthcare. In entire India, I was the cheapest. Still, I had 40% EBITDA of entire journey of 25 years. So profit is there, growth is there, and I have employed only freshers. 25 years I have run the business and I have employed 25,000 freshers. So I believe that's a creation of jobs and opportunities for people. I said, to maja bahut aaya. I enjoyed and have grown.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one last thing. Sir, Mumbai or Coimbatore?
Me?
Yeah, Mumbai or Coimbatore?
I was in Coimbatore for 24 years. I came to Mumbai in 1982.
Yeah.
August 18.
Yeah.
Jayanti Janata Express, Kanyakumari to Mumbai, S9 coach, berth number 41. And I landed in Mumbai and stayed 3 nights in VT railway station. I think Bombay gave me everything, opportunities, and a lot of knowledge, a lot of energy. And I have remained in Mumbai for 40 years until I exited. तुम्ही मराठी बोलतात मी पण मराठी बोलतो. So I learned Marathi, I learned Hindi, and I have enjoyed being in Mumbai. Last 3 years I am in Bengaluru.
So how do you like Bangalore now? Both of us are in Bangalore now.
I am fortunately very close to airport, so there is no traffic issues which I am facing.
Yes.
I enjoy all the benefits of Bengaluru, and I am enjoying as of now in Bengaluru.
Thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for inspiring me and many others.
Thank you very much. And I am left out with 3 minutes. And let me tell you what advice I have got for youngsters and then for those who want to get into global. Youngsters, I have 4 words advice. Number 1, you need to have patience. Very often we are impatient and we struggle. And after patience, you need focus. Many are chasing 4 rabbits together. They don't chase 1 rabbit. If you chase one by one, you can catch all the 4 rabbits. And if you chase all the 4 rabbits, you can't catch even one. So patience, focus. Then the frugality. I think if you are frugal, you don't have to dilute too early. And you don't have to suffer having, I think Aman Gupta said very clearly, investment mana karo, you will be very powerful. But of course, you need to grow the business. Frugality is important. All the profits reinvest. Keep on reinvesting for 25 years, you will become a billionaire. So be frugal. And the last one is discipline. Very often people see success, sense success, make 5 crore, 10 crore, 20 crore. Then they become victim of their own money. And they won't be able to grow further. Consumers cannot create, so creators should not consume. And discipline is what gets you to keep going to the heights. Having said that, let me also tell you, money is a poison, but you must have at least $100 million in hand to tell that. So now that I have exited and I have money, I can tell that. Answer me a question. Money and honey sound similar?
Yes.
Honey is collected by?
Honeybees.
Money is collected by? Moneybee.
Moneybee.
What happens if honeybee falls in honey?
He sticks to it.
If honeybee falls in honey, it dies. So is moneybee. Don't become victim of your own money which you have created. Keep money, enjoy life. Thank you, LOT, for inviting me. It was a really amazing experience for me in this evening. I enjoyed a lot. God bless you. Appreciate you. And you've done a lot of hard work to confidence to interview me, and congratulations. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for that, Dr. Velumani, and thank you, Anand, for that. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. A very insightful discussion, heart to heart. Thank you so much. May I request you to please take your seats? Quite a lot of interesting points that we got from Dr. Velumani. And Anand, I just want to say that Ritvika, me, and all us anchors are a little bit worried, okay? I mean, you did a great job. We're like, maybe, I don't know, I'm worried like our boss will next time say that let him only anchor and we'll be made to sit down. All right. You know, Dr. Velumani, really important points. Really, you speak from the heart. I've heard you speaking before, and it's always a pleasure to interact with you and to hear you there. Moving on, we will just take on kind of what Dr. Velumani said, where he spoke about how in the future India is going to be the place, and about, which is also kind of what our theme is also, is about powering entrepreneurs for the global stage. And we know that India has always been a land of opportunities, attracting leaders who are beyond the obvious. So our next special chat is where we meet two visionary founders who took the road less traveled to build something big right here in India. And together they'll share what it takes to be bold and think global from their point of view, where going global from their point of view was actually coming to India. Luckily, I have the privilege of moderating this fireside chat, so please allow me to welcome on stage my two fantastic panelists. I'll be joined by Spencer Schreiner, he's the founder, Commenda, and Bert Mueller, he's the founder at California Burrito. All right. Thank you for that. Thank you, Spencer. Thank you, Bert, for being here. You know, it's an interesting story. They have a very interesting story. So actually, you know, Spencer, if we can start with you, and then Bert with you. Just a couple of lines. Just tell us your story, what Commenda does, and then, of course, what California Burrito does.
Yeah. It actually starts as a very normal story. I was working on a tech company in Palo Alto, California, with some friends. They then lost their visas. They had to come back to India. This was in 2021. Made the decision to come with them and just sort of fell in love with the country. You could sort of say I never left, and discovered the problem that eventually became Commenda, which is that we had to incorporate a business in the United States from India. And then, yeah, like I said, just never left, and that was sort of the end of the story.
Fantastic. So we'll hear more from you about that. But Bert, you know, tell us your story. California Burrito here in India.
Sure. So I had first moved to India in 2010, and as Dr. Velumani had mentioned, I found India to be an incredibly happening place. So I decided as I was wrapping up my education that I would move back to India, and business was to be the route. You know, at that time, the U.S. economy actually wasn't doing so great. There was a recession going on, and India clearly had this tremendous energy and was going in a great direction. So moved here, started out with California Burrito, which is a Mexican QSR brand. We have 100 stores now across 4 cities in India, and it's been a very interesting and you know, wonderful journey.
Fantastic. Spencer, have you tried out California Burritos?
I'm absolutely certain everyone in the office is laughing right now back in Bangalore, because not only have I tried it, I probably order it almost every day.
All right.
Thank you.
Loyal customer there. All right. But you know, Spencer, when you moved from Palo Alto, Silicon Valley, and you moved to India, which is, okay, so Bengaluru is called India's Silicon Valley. But, you know, of course, India is as such, it's a rewarding market, but it's a tough market. What was, I mean, yes, because of fortune, your friends were moving here, but what was it that you came here and then you realized that, there is something here, let me stay on, let me do something here? What was the magic moment, the eureka moment?
Yeah, I actually remember it perfectly. So I was riding in an Uber through the HSR layout, Kormangala neighborhoods, and I kind of looked around, and it was like, this feels exactly like I'm in Palo Alto. There's, you know, startups on every building, and And, combining that with just the unbelievable talent that I met on my first trip here, like founders that learned how to build drones on the internet and, storing data in DNA and all of these just sort of extremely advanced technological companies, and that combined with the vibe and kind of the openness of Bangalore, it was just really cool. And not always the easiest market, but definitely one that's worth cracking.
All right. But similar question for you. Mexican food in India, what were you thinking? Okay, because I'm sorry, I'll be a little bit of a generalization, and I know it's not true for everyone, but generally, people think, oh, a lot of Indians eat vegetarian food, and hey, what are the options in vegetarian food? But when they come to India, and I've got a lot of friends, I have cousins from Germany, and when they started, and they're just like, wow, there is so much options in veg food. So what was the thought of saying, hey, let's do Mexican food in India?
So when I had studied here, I lived with a family in Jaipur, and on our program, there was someone from Mexico, and she would cook food for the families, and Mexican food seemed to be the only outside food that people even liked. I remember I had brought some chocolate truffles from Switzerland or something, and I remember the next day I came in and people had cooked it up with the sugar and the milk. But clearly Mexican food was resonating, and when I love Mexican food, so when I was looking at what concepts or what businesses I could do in India, this was the one that was just first one in my head. And as soon as I got back to the U.S. and I started looking at Mexican restaurants, I noticed how many people were Indians at them, and often for vegetarian reasons, the only cuisine in the U.S. that you could have really good vegetarian food. But I loved Indian food. I loved Mexican food. I thought if I like it, maybe people in India will also be on the same wavelength.
Wow, the leap of faith and how it's turned out so well now. That's fantastic. Spencer, I know that your company, you're also helping Indians expand globally. What are some of the common guidance that you give? I mean, because we have an audience full of startups, MSMEs, that would be hoping to go global. Many of them have maybe started on the journey. What are some insights that you could share with them?
Generally speaking, I think there's this idea. I'm actually going to take this question, and I'm actually going to flip it a little bit. I think there's this idea among a lot of the entrepreneurs who I meet with, and I don't want to dispel it too much because it's good for business that people think this, but that they have to go sell overseas, and they have to go sell overseas, and all the good customers are overseas. But as someone who did the opposite, I think all these ideas about the Indian market, they're very much changing. I think it's actually a terrific place to sell. It's very much a trust market. In that first interaction, you're going to be fighting tooth and nail for sometimes literally every dollar. Like, we sell products for tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I will still have customers in India negotiate. I have a deal right now that they're arguing over $120 difference. And, the thing with India that I think works so well is once you build that relationship with somebody, I've never seen a market where they'll come back to you for everything. They'll trust you for everything. And I do think there's something to be said for that. And maybe my sort of counterintuitive advice is that Indian businesses should just build for India. They should just invest in India. It's one of the most obviously fast-growing economies in the world. And it's a great place to do business in a lot of ways.
Fantastic. That's actually kind of resonating with some of the earlier conversations with some of the earlier speakers also, and just talking about the scope that India has, the future that the Indian market provides. So that is important insights. Thank you for that. But I have a devil's advocate question for you, right? Because have you experimented with some kind of maybe a fusion between Indian foods and Mexican food? I don't know. Do you have a dosa flavored burrito or a chaat flavored burrito?
So I think in the first 5 years of running California Burrito, there was certainly this thought that how do you make it attractive to people in India? How do you make it match their taste? And I think we did experiments with the Rogan Josh burrito, or with the changing the tarka. We used like almost a desi tarka in the beans.
Yeah.
But over time, I think my parents had moved to Mexico. I kept going back to Mexico. And I realized that, the original thing is probably the ultimate thing. And so then after 2018, the journey really was about how do you get the original taste in India? And primarily the issue was ingredients and not being able to get the ingredients that Mexicans, or even in California, in the US, the ingredients that would go into the food. And so that's when we started getting into farming. And so we had imported, about 500 Hass avocado trees, and then we started growing tomatillos and chilies and beans and corn now. But just kind of that journey of trying to bring alive the same taste you would get, the presumption being instead of trying to go fusion or trying to adapt to the local market, instead maybe the original thing was already very good and people were already liking it who were from India. So I think that has become my thought. If I was to have Indian food in the US, I would probably want it from that school of thought.
Well, that kind of makes sense because, you know, Indians do love experimenting, and we'd be, I'm sure, and I mean, your success also speaks volumes about that, where we are glad to have another cuisine as an option to try out. Very often, I mean, unlike Spencer, maybe having every day. Spencer, you know, one thing that's changed over time is speed. So speed has become integral part of business today, especially in the startup world. Things change overnight almost, you know. Maybe if you could share an example with the audience where kind of moving fast gave you a competitive advantage in India, how you navigated the country's unique regulatory and also some operational challenges while scaling your business. Could you tell us a little bit about any incident like that?
Yeah, you know, I think as a startup, speed is always the most important metric in a lot of ways. Something we say a lot at Commenda is that, you know, speed kind of forgives all sins when you're a startup. And, you know, it's funny, maybe this is one of my very American beliefs, but as a startup, if you're doing well and you're moving fast, you can always raise more capital. And I always hate to say that maybe you shouldn't be frugal because I know I'm going to get gasps in the audience, but maybe you shouldn't be frugal. That's what the venture capital money in Bangalore is for. And, but I think, you know, just moving fast, it gives you an advantage over your opponents, obviously. It helps you stake turf, both in the minds of your customers, investors, and also, I mean, with your competitors to an extent, right? I think a lot of founders, this is something I've seen, something I've made the mistake of, is not having the courage to enter a market when there's already a company that's there. But it's usually not close, right? The execution's usually not close. There's usually just one that's way better than the other. So, but no, I mean, I think speed has all these advantages.
Interesting. That's quite an interesting, a different take, and I'm sure the audience will have a lot of food for thought on your view and other views of other experts. That's quite an interesting take. But you know, you're in the QSR space, quick service restaurants. The space in India is highly competitive. I mean, I've seen in malls, so I'm from Mumbai, but I've seen in malls where you will see a certain kiosk and maybe 6 months later that's gone and a new kiosk, a new cuisine has come up there. What were some of the toughest challenges that you faced while you were scaling up?
Well, I think when I first moved here, I was 22 and did not have any experience in business or really even much in food. I had worked in a QSR brand in the U.S. So I think the first challenge that I had was getting the right people in place. And I think there was a high learning curve, probably being so young and not from the industry and not in a country that I had grown up in. That I think getting great trustworthy people in place, there was a lot of lessons that were learned till we reached that point. But once we hit a certain scale, I think getting the product right became the biggest challenge. And I think getting back to this thought of do you try to do some sort of a fusion thing, or do you stay true to the original cuisine? And what is the what's the right approach to take on that? So I think it probably, we had done, I would say, a good job before COVID, but after COVID, we did a much better job because COVID forced us to take some decisions that we may not have taken if we hadn't been, been pushed up against a wall.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, definitely it was a black swan event, changed the trajectory for many companies. So this is a question for both, and Spencer, I'd like you to go first and then Bert. For entrepreneurs outside India that are looking to come to India, what would be maybe your piece of advice to them? How do they navigate this space? Any sectors that you think are great here? So Spencer, you first, and then Bert, if you get your thoughts also.
This is probably an entire book that we could sit down and write, but maybe we shouldn't, and then we can keep having a big share of the market. Someone mentioned the tariffs, that the U.S. was doing tariffs earlier, but has anyone ever looked at India's tariffs? They're very high, but no. The point I made earlier, that that first interaction with people is going to be very different than what it would be in the U.S. or in Europe or most of the rest of the world, but that it's such a trust-driven market. If you're a restaurant, right, like if you have quality food and it's consistent, people are going to come back. If you're a software company and you solve their problems and you don't have too many bugs and you have good customer support, they're going to come back for more and more things. And I think, my friends in the U.S., when they maybe get an Indian customer and they get frustrated with all the haggling and the demands of like custom features, they quit and walk away. It's like that meme with the guy with like the pickaxe, and he's almost to the gold, and then he turns around. It's very much like that, and you just have to be very patient with the Indian market.
Okay, important to be patient. But your piece of advice.
So I would have to agree with the last comment about, my philosophy that I always say is India favors the patient, but I think the real thing I would say is that I had two other co-founders who came from the U.S. with me, neither of whom were Indian, and one lasted about a year. The other did last about 7 years. But I think if you don't love India, if you don't love the place you've gone, maybe even it starts with the food. If you don't love Indian food, probably don't start a business in India. Because maybe the food is almost the ultimate representation of what the people are and what the culture is. Yeah. And so my first business partner who lasted a year, he just hated the food. The other one liked the food, and I love the food, and I'm the last one here. So I think if you give love to the place that you've come, then certainly you can get love back. But if you don't have that in the first place, don't come.
Wow, important insights. Thank you so much, Spencer. Thank you, Bert. We're running out of time almost, but it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to both of you and to hear your stories and your journeys. Thank you so much. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Spencer and for Bert here. Thank you. All right. Well, we have another Power Pack session coming up, and obviously the evening is far from over. Now, as the theme that there is today, it is powering, the theme for the next session is powering the next wave of business growth. And it's a very important panel discussion. It is, of course, building up on the overall theme for this evening, which is powering entrepreneurs for the global stage. My team has told me that a lot of you are tweeting and sharing thoughts. So just again, if you haven't, the hashtag is LOTS12 Awards. That's LOT Season 12 Awards. So please do share your thoughts, your photos, your comments, your suggestions. I don't know, any complaints with the anchor, do share it, all right? Okay, be kind, don't be too mean. Okay, all right, let's move on. Now, the next panel discussion, this will uncover how Indian SMEs and startups can secure funding, scale up, and overcome financial roadblocks for small and medium enterprises. Before I invite up the panelists, allow me to call on stage the moderator for this session, my colleague Pooja Jain, special correspondent with Times Network. Pooja, can we have you on stage, please? I'd now like to invite up on stage her panelists. We have Radha Kirthivasan, the head listing and SME at BSE. We have Vivek Gambhir, venture partner, Lightspeed India. Padmaja Ruparel, co-founder, IAN Group. And Anisha Singh, founder, She Capital. Over to you, Pooja.
All right. Thank you, Sumit. Now, first of all, At the Times Network, we very much subscribe to the philosophy that the country's most promising entrepreneurs and small businesses are not limited to the major metros. They come from all corners of the country. So looking at this room of winners and finalists for Season 12 of the Leaders of Tomorrow Awards is very heartening. A huge congratulations to yourselves. And we very much not only, celebrate your triumphs, but we salute the trials that you've been through as, small business entrepreneurs. And speaking of trials, this next conversation is dedicated to just that. Because small businesses, if you walk down memory lane for a moment, have been down a rough road. I think demonetization came first, followed by the implementation of GST, of course, then the global economic downturn, then the crisis that we know as COVID-19, and most recently, geopolitical tensions are, of course, on the rise. But against this very backdrop, our small businesses have demonstrated remarkable resilience. Yet raising capital continues to be a challenge that looms large, even in the eye of a fiscal and a digital and an industrial revolution. So where do the answers lie? Well, our highly distinguished panel of domain experts is here to tackle that very topic. All right, and with that, let's kick off the conversation. And Vivek, if I could start with you. And sir, I think there's some merit to putting facts and figures to the conversation. So for the benefit of our viewers and our audience, how many startup proposals have you reviewed in the last year? And of the number that you reviewed, what percentage actually went on to reach a term sheet stage of conversation? Let's hear it. Fact from fiction, sir.
Thank you, Pooja. Wonderful being part of this panel. And certainly I was thinking, I'm the only man in a panel of 4 women, and then I realized this is how women leaders feel every day of life.
Vivek, it was so refreshing. Usually they turn to me as the token female on top of Padmaja and say, why don't you get it started? Right. So I love that.
So I'm the token man here in this panel, and for once I feel very good.
Sir, we even call them manels. When they're all male panels, they become manels.
Yes, I feel very privileged to be the token man here. So thank you for having me here.
Absolutely.
Pooja. Typically, if I look at the data for a company like Lightspeed, and we don't necessarily look in terms of proposals. What we look in terms of is, say, the number of founders that one is meeting every year.
Fair enough.
And typically, the firm would end up meeting about, say, 2,000 or so first founder conversations. That typically translates to about 12 to 15 deals a year. So it's actually, the funnel starts very broad, but it gets extremely, extremely selective in terms of the number of conversations which lead to follow-on conversations, which lead to ultimately term sheets and finally funding.
Fair enough. And thank you for being very candid in that answer. And of course, while we will get to the challenges that, small businesses face, one of the challenge that, all of us here on the panel face is you have that fiduciary duty of investing in those companies that have the most reasonable chance of success and sustainability. So I'd love to hear from the women on this panel as to which sectors you consider to be sunrise sectors, perhaps, and on which sectors has the sun finally set. I'll start with you, Randa.
Basically, we see a lot of momentum in the solar industries.
All right.
Yeah. So that's the sector, and then FMCG products, and the IT enabled.
All right. And I'll get your views as well.
So first of all, thank you for having me here. And looks like a real successful event. So congratulations to the entire team. My answer lies in your first comment that you made in your opening comment, that we've had COVID, we've had demonetization, we've had various challenges, right? I think the way we think about it as each of the challenges is actually an opportunity, right? So if you look at demonetization, look what it created. It created the paytech companies like Paytm and PhonePe and the rest of it, right? If you look at COVID, healthcare completely changed the way we were looking at this country, right? A lot of DIY medical devices started to become center of our life, how many of us had actually even thought about that it would happen. If you look at the current geopolitical challenge, I think it's driving India to become self-dependent on many of the sectors, be it in defense, be it in infrastructure, etc. So I think the way we look at it is look at opportunities and make those are our emerging sectors. So in our group, which is IAN group, we have an angel investor group, we have a couple of VC funds, etc. We invest from literally 50 lakhs to 50 crores on the platform. I think we are looking at non-rare earth material products. We are looking at healthcare and biotech. We are also looking at cyber security. We are looking at drones and space, but we are also looking at D2C and consumer tech, etc. So I think the opportunities really sectorally are emerging and they will keep evolving. As each industry grows, like the software services industry, which is the first startup industry of the country, I think that today is not an early stage investment for us.
Fair enough. And I'll give it to you, Anisha, for your views.
I went to the US to study. And before I left, somebody said, you got to drive a car. And then I had friends who told me, well, if you can drive in India, you can drive anywhere.
Sure.
And I think that's kind of what it is with startups. I think if you can start up in India, you pretty much can start up anywhere. The reason being, there are so many things being hurled at you, a lot of which you talked about recently, that startup founders in India have become agile to an extreme speed. And I'll give you an example of this. We invest, 50% of our portco is consumer. The rest is what we call just cool, interesting tech. We'll dabble in anything, healthcare, sports tech, everything. But consumer companies, up until 4 years ago, hadn't heard of this model or, dealt with quick commerce. That has taken it and broken the mold. Indian founders have suddenly had to deal with 10-minute delivery, 8-minute delivery. And I'm not talking just food. I'm talking pretty much everybody across the board. We've got a homeware brand called Elementary, which, why would anybody need
emergency
cake
clothing
dish and a fruit bowl in 8 minutes? But turns out that they are doing phenomenal business on quick commerce. So the Indian consumer is changing and the tastes are changing. And I realize this too, because when I'm back in the US now, once you hear, oh God, it's going to be 4 hours before it's delivered, I realize how we're changing as consumers too, right? And so the Indian startup founders are having to deal with this agility, which is going to hold them, I think, in the most brilliant way going forward. So I actually think, and I tell everybody, this is such a great time to be starting up. I've been a founder since 2004, started up in the Indian ecosystem in 2009. I'll tell you, there is no better time than 2025.
That deserves a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
All right. Now, as investors, I'm sure there's several metrics that you look at before signing that check, whether that's proof of concept, right? Proof of market, profitability, a fully baked management team, and the list can perhaps go on and on and on, right? But I'd love your take on what you consider to be some of the most commonly made mistakes on behalf of the entrepreneur in the capital raising process. And likewise, for the lucky few that do go on to raise that capital, what are the commonly made mistakes when it comes to spending that money? And if I could start with you, sir.
Ultimately, look, the entire fundraising process is a very challenging process.
Say the least.
It's not for the faint-hearted, and obviously, you have seasoned investors here who can talk a little bit more about it. I think it's very important to know when you're raising money for the right reasons and getting the timing right. A lot of times, I think entrepreneurs end up adopting a very spray and pray approach.
What do you mean by that?
So they will contact every single investor, right? Not every single investor is the right investor for your company. So I think doing a little bit of homework to figure out, ultimately it's a marriage or a partnership. Ultimately trying to figure out the right investor who truly knows your space, can add value. These are investors, not an ATM machine. So it's very important to find the right investor. The second is avoiding what I call valuation vanity, right? You end up, again, probably shooting for the perfect valuation. There could be follow-on rounds after that. So learning how to be able to price, your business is a very important one. The third, particularly for SMEs, look, every startup is an SME, but not every SME is a startup.
Interesting, right.
There are some businesses which are important from a venture capital perspective. A lot of businesses are not the right ones for VC, because ultimately a venture investor will look for non-linear returns. Not every business will scale up in a non-linear fashion.
Sure, fair enough.
So before you realize about investing, it's so important to know, is this actually an investment which is appropriate for a venture investor? And then the fourth, as you were saying, is, just get the fundamental business model right. How will you make money? How will you actually beat competition? How will you sustain performance? What's the product market fit? What are the unit economics, the team? Those are more standard things. But to me, the why is so much more important than the what here. Most founders end up focusing on the what. I think it's so important to get the why right as well.
Brilliant advice here, really brilliant and free of cost, really. And, I want to build on a point that we just heard the panel allude to, which is about SMEs, all right? Because the BSC obviously offers an SME exchange platform. So SMEs now have the avenue to raise capital via the capital markets. And the overarching benefit there is, of course, the business isn't burdened by debt. But walk us through some of the finer nuances in terms of the challenges, whether with respect to cost, whether with respect to compliances, or regulatory complexities.
See, I would start with telling there are around 6 crore MSMEs that has been registered on the Udyam portal. But if you see the listed entities, both exchanges put together, it's not even 0.01%. So what is it that holds them back in listing,
Right.
Basically, I feel it's a misconception or lack of awareness. Every SME company that we fear, that we start talking with, feel that it's too much of a hurdle, it's too much of disclosures is required. I cannot go that path. And one more important thing is I lose entire control of mine.
Right.
Yeah. So then we try to suggest, see, if you have 100% control, you have to dilute. Minimum dilution is only 25%. But your 75% gets valued only if you dilute 25%. So that's the thing that we tell the companies. Then the other concern is, what will happen post-listing? I'll have to follow too many compliances again, But as regards SME, the post-listing compliances is also quite streamlined, They don't have to make half-year quarterly compliances as required. The compliances are only half-yearly. Then most of even the appointment of a woman director, that need not be an independent woman director. It's difficult to get a director. First of all, it's difficult to get a board of director, independent director on board of an SME, because nobody believes in SME, frankly speaking,
Right.
whatever it is. And to get a woman director aboard, it's more difficult. So we have a relaxed norm of not having an independent woman director. It can be a family woman who can be there. Then even the cost of listing is quite less as compared to the main board. The processing fee, the other charges are very minimal in this. So again, that is also a relaxed rank. So all these things, I think, should make the SME companies more comfortable. And then we have a dedicated team who actually handholds them right from the conception to the entire team. So I think this would help the companies to raise more money. And equity capital, we have seen companies actually grow in this. Their turnovers grow, they get a very good visibility, their brand is built. There are a lot of good investors that are coming in the SMEs. So yeah, there are advantages, a lot of advantages we see in them.
Radha, thank you so much for sharing that. And Padmaja, I've got a follow-up question for you here, because the data seems to indicate that last year alone, right, venture capital investment, pan-India, it exceeded $17 billion in perhaps 900 plus transactions. And that marked roughly a 15% increase by deal value compared to the prior year, and roughly a 20% increase in deal volume compared to the prior year. All the while, global venture capital investment has declined. So here you've got a thriving, VC ecosystem that's homegrown against geopolitical tensions abroad, where you're seeing just the opposite. Is this a trend you expect is going to continue? Is the trend here to stay?
So a short answer, yes, honestly. And I think there are 2 or 3 points I'd like to make here. Number one, I think India is the fastest growing startup ecosystem. The numbers tell you all. Number two, I think India is genetically an entrepreneurial country.
Genetically, by birth. It's our birth lottery.
Yeah, I mean, 250 years ago, it was 25% of global GDP the country was. So there is no reason to say that has gone away. It has revived and it has kicked in big time. Third, I think the government from the budget has already doubled its outlet on a single fund, which is fund of funds, right? And we have a growing GDP. So I think those stats alone tell you that this is going to be an active and a fast-growing venture capital industry. But more importantly, it's a country where a lot of startups stroke SMEs will thrive. So it is a good time. What is important is, I think I'll echo a little bit of what Vivek said. It's very, very important to figure out how you are funding your company. Is it through revenues that you can generate from your own company? Important. Is it debt? Because there's a lot of debt getting opened up in our own companies post-investment. We've matched the amount of equity we've invested with debt, and it's a sizable check. Okay? And third, I think you should also be mentally prepared that if you're raising money, equity money, please be very, very clear on 2 things. Number one, you will be giving up some control in the company. Investors will take a minority, but they will have a majority say in your company, especially on strategic matters. So please be aware of that. And secondly, you're getting into a marriage. But unlike a marriage, investors are looking for a divorce and an alimony. So please
a round of applause
ready.
for that analogy right there.
So I think those are important, because as you grow in numbers, I think it's also important to understand how this model works. It is not going to be passive investment like a bank to say, okay, I'm going to give, which is great money, that I'm going to invest, I'm going to give you money, and I'm going to take a certain percentage as interest, and I have no say in your board. That is not going to happen. So I think we have an opportunity to really create and breed and grow and nurture very high quality companies. We have the market on which these companies will grow and thrive, but it's also important to understand these factors, and then post-investment make sure that there are governance and reporting structures, which Radha ma'am alluded to in some ways. I think it's very important to create a good, solid foundation companies which then pass the test of governance. It's extremely important to make this happen, because otherwise we will have very slippery slopes.
So I just would like to add. Ma'am, just a moment. In fact, I hate to cut this conversation short. However, our guest of honor, our chief guest, has now joined us, is in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please put your hands together for Shri Anurag Singh Thakur, former Union Minister and Chairman of Parliamentary Standing Committee on Coal, Mines and Steel. Huge round of applause, sir. And with that, I'd love to take this conversation offline once more for Anisha, Padmaja, Radha and Vivek. Huge round of applause. It's deeply deserved. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pooja. Thank you for the panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic panel. Of course, all the sessions have been so amazing. We would just love to keep the conversations going. The conversations will continue off stage as well. And of course, we have to now move on to the most awaited segment of the evening. Let's take a moment, in fact, to appreciate the passion, the innovation, the perseverance that drives India's entrepreneurs forward. Tonight is not just about celebrating achievements, but also about inspiring the next wave of change makers. And to make this occasion even more special, we have with us a very distinguished guest whose vision for promoting initiatives like Make in India and also supporting MSMEs have played a crucial role in empowering small businesses and fostering the startup capital, the startup culture in India. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together welcoming our chief guest for the evening. Before I invite him up on stage, I'd like to invite Varun Kohli, the COO, News Broadcast Business Times Network, to welcome our chief guest, Shri Anurag Singh Thakur, former Union Minister and the Chairman of Parliamentary Standing Committee on Coal, Mines and Steel. Anurag sir, can we please have you on stage? And Varun, may I please request you to welcome and felicitate our honorable chief guest here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, let's keep that round of applause going. Thank you, thank you. So, sir, may I request you to please stay on? We'll just request you to hand out the awards. Yeah, thank you, Varun, for that. Yeah, somebody come get that. All right, let's kick-start the 12th edition of IDFC First Bank Presents ET Now Leaders of Tomorrow Awards. To join our honorable chief guest, I'd also like to invite up on stage some of our jury members. So please give it up for Vivek Gambhir, venture partner, Lightspeed India, Dr. A. Velumani, the creator of Thyrocare, and Padmaja Ruparel, the co-founder, IAN Group. May I request the three of you to please join our honorable chief guest here to hand out the awards. Let's kickstart the awards. All right, now our first category is Excellence in Agri-Tech and Allied Services. Let's take a look at the nominees.
Presenting the distinguished nominees for the coveted category, Excellence in Agri-Tech and Allied Services. Mangalam Kalpataru Industries, Plant Remedies, Renew Agri-Home E-Commerce, Agri-Vijay, Vanpros Agrovet.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the winner is Plant Remedies Private Limited. Can I request Mr. Gopal Bhalotia, the Managing Director of Plant Remedies Private Limited, to come up on stage to receive the award. Established in 2000 in Bihar, the company has been a pioneer in agrochemicals, offering a diverse range of pesticide formulations and specializing in pest-specific solutions for various crops. Congratulations. Moving on to our second award category. This is for Excellence in Automobiles and Electric Vehicles category. Let's take a look at the nominees.
Presenting the distinguished nominees for the coveted category, Excellence in Automobiles and Electric Vehicle. FTA HSRP Solutions, Lumax Cornelia Auto Technologies, Sinova Gears and Transmissions.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner is Sinova Gears and Transmissions Private Limited. Can I request Suresh Vekaria, Managing Director, to please come up on stage to receive the award. Let's keep that applause going, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Sinova specializes in manufacturing different types of gears and other customized products and services having applications in automotive, agriculture, earth-moving equipment, wind energy, construction, and much more. Congratulations. Congratulations once again. Let's move on to our next category. This is for Excellence in Lifestyle and Consumer Products. And here's a look at the nominees.
Presenting the distinguished nominees for the coveted category, Excellence in Lifestyle and Consumer Products. Pluck, Razmataz Design, Uniarcha Design, Solitario Diamonds.
All right, and the winner is Razmataz Design. Can I request Divya Nambiar, founder, and Pulkit Bhatt, co-founder, Razmataz Design, to come up on stage to receive the award. Now, Razzmatazz Design Private Limited primarily manufactures jewelry made up of gold, silver, and other precious metals and precious stones. Congratulations, fantastic. Let's move on. Next up is excellence in IT, ITES, and electronics. And here's a look at the nominees.
Presenting the distinguished nominees for the coveted category, Excellence in IT, ITES, and Electronics. Matrix ComSec, Pesarv Technologies, White Clay Technologies.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the winner is White Clay Technologies Private Limited. May I request Amit Kumar Parija, GM Worldwide and President CEO White Clay Technologies Private Limited, to come up on stage to receive the award. White Clay offers comprehensive data management and governance solutions within the big data ecosystem. Their platform helps businesses optimize workflows, ensure data integrity, and derive actionable insights for strategic decision making. Moving on to our next category. This is for excellence in food processing and packaging, and here's a look at the nominees.
Presenting the distinguished nominees for the coveted category, Excellence in Food Processing and Packaging. Pluck, BioGreen Projects, BRG Amar Cold Chain, Urban Monk.
And the winner is Pluck. Congratulations. Can I request Prateek Gupta, CEO and co-founder Pluck, to come up on stage to receive the award. Pluck is India's leading digital lifestyle company, delivering safe, fresh and clean produce straight from farms to your doorstep. Moving on to our sixth category this evening. This is for excellence in EdTech and skill development, and here's a look at the nominees.
Presenting the distinguished nominees for the coveted category, Excellence in EdTech and Skill Development. Jeevatham Livelihood Tech Solution, Charismatic U, White Canvas India.
All right, and the winner is Jeevatham Livelihood Tech Solutions Private Limited. Congratulations. May I request Munish Chawla, co-founder and Chief Happiness Officer, and his team at Jeevatham Livelihood Tech Solutions to come up on stage to receive the award. Now, Jeevatham is India's livelihood platform, redefining how people seek and secure work across blue, grey and white collar segments. Congratulations to the winners there. Before we move on to our next category, I'd like to thank Dr. Velumani and Mr. Vivek Gambhir. Dr. Velumani and Mr. Gambhir, thank you for doing the honors. Anurag sir, just a couple of more minutes. I'd like to invite some of our other jury members to join Anurag sir on stage. If I can have Mr. Vinod Kumar Vutu, the President, India SME Forum, and Sahil Malik, MD and CEO of Da Milano and Rosso Brunello, and also Anisha Singh, founder She Capital. If we can have these three jurors join our honorable chief guest on stage to give away the next set of awards. Our next category is Excellence in Manufacturing, and here are the nominees.
Presenting the distinguished nominees for the coveted category, Excellence in Manufacturing. Acme Process Systems, Autosys Industrial Solutions, Noble Cost Com, Raj Cooling Systems.
All right, the winner is Autosys Industrial Solutions Private Limited. Can I request Aditya Damani, the Managing Director, to please join us on stage. Autosys specializes in industrial automation and industrial data management. It provides solutions to improve the efficiency and overall equipment effectiveness while minimizing cost and environmental impact. Let's move on to our next category. It's a very unique, a very interesting one. This is for excellence in family business leadership. And let's take a look at the nominees.
Presenting the distinguished nominees for the coveted category, Excellence in Family Business Leadership. Fire Safety Devices, Global Engineers, Raj Vivek Enterprise, the Manna Hotels.
Well, the winner is Global Engineers Limited, and I request GM Gupta, the chairman, to please come up on stage to receive the award. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the company is an engineering, procurement, construction and manufacturing company that provides customized equipment solutions in the field of propellants and surface treatment and pre-treatment for the Indian defense, for railways, for nuclear, oil and gas, pharmaceutical and the food and beverage industry. Let's keep that applause going, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on to our next category. This is for excellence in health, wellness and Ayurveda. Here's a look at the nominees.
Presenting the distinguished nominees for the coveted category, Excellence in Health, Wellness and Ayurveda. KRM Ayurveda, Dhanush Healthcare System, Dhanush Infotech, Vipragen Biosciences.
Before I announce the winner, I'd just like to invite one other jury member who's joined us today. If I can request Mr. Prashant Tandon, the CEO and co-founder Tata 1MG. So if you could have you on stage to join the dignitaries in giving out this award. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner in this category is Vipragen Biosciences Private Limited. Vipragen Biosciences Private Limited. Can I call on stage Mr. Chandrasekharan Siddhamadappa, the chairman and managing director, to please receive his award. Now, Vipragen is a leading contract research organization serving global pharmaceutical, biopharmaceutical, chemical, nutraceutical and medical device companies. Let's move on to our next category. This is for excellence in digital transformation, and here's a look at the nominees.
Presenting the distinguished nominees for the coveted category, Excellence in Digital Transformation, Enager Technologies, Efficacy Life Science Analytics, Prodevans Technologies, RefundMe.
All right, the winner is Enator Technologies Private Limited. I'd like to invite up on stage Bhairav Kumar Mandal, the CEO and founder of the company, to come up on stage to receive his trophy. Well, the company offers solar EPC, rooftop solutions, operation and maintenance, EV charging stations, and ground mount and rooftop maintenance. Can we give a huge round of applause to the team? We can be a little more enthusiastic, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. You all are MSMEs. You know how tough the grind is. Fantastic. Congratulations to the team. All right, let's move on to our next category. This is for the Global Business Leadership Award. It's time to honor visionary leaders who are driving Indian enterprises to global success. Here's a look at the nominees.
Presenting the distinguished nominees for the coveted category, Global Business Leadership Award. Amorphous Software Technology Solutions, Microlit, Pratham Technologies.
The winner in this category is Microlit, and I would have loved to invite Mr. Ajay Jain, the managing director, but unfortunately he's been unable to come owing to some medical emergency. But I do request the audience to please give a huge round of applause to the company we will ensure that his trophy does get to him and his team. All right, let's move on to our next category, which is for social impact entrepreneur. All right, and let's, before we move on, I'm sorry, I'd like to thank our jury members, our 3 jury members who are here. Mr. Tandon, ma'am, sir, thank you so much for doing the honors. Anurag sir, nahi, thoda aapse samay aur lunga, sir. If you can stay back on stage. And I'd like to invite up on stage Mr. Chinmay Dhoble. He's the head retail liabilities and branch banking at IDFC First Bank, to join the honorable chief guest to do the honors. It's time now to honor visionary entrepreneurs who are driving meaningful change through innovative, mission-driven businesses. So let's take a look at the nominees in the social impact entrepreneur category.
Presenting the distinguished nominees for the coveted category, Social Impact Entrepreneur of the Year. Boon Swajal Water, Chalo Mobility, Jeevitam Livelihood Tech Solution, Swachh Sustainable Solutions, Recircle.
And the winner is Rahul Nainani, the CEO and co-founder of Swachh Sustainable Solutions Private Limited, Recircle. I'd like to invite you up on stage to receive your award. Now, Recircle builds in ethical, traceable, reverse supply chain for plastic waste, enabling businesses to go plastic neutral. Congratulations, Rahul. We also have a very special jury mention in this category, so I would like you all to put your hands together for this special jury mention. It is for Jeevitam Livelihood Tech Solutions Private Limited. They did win a category earlier. If the team is here, if I can have you just stand up quickly. There you are. Round of applause for this special jury mention in this social impact entrepreneur category. Moving on to 2 of our biggest awards now this evening. First up is the Woman Entrepreneur of the Year. It's time to celebrate the passion, the dedication, and the impact of women entrepreneurs. And here is a look at the nominees for this category.
Presenting the distinguished nominees for the coveted category, Women Entrepreneur of the Year. Charismatic You, Razmataz Design, Urban Monk.
All right, the winner here is Ruchika Bhuvalka, the founder of Urban Monk Private Limited. Now, Urban Monk focuses on certified organic food processing and retail to provide a variety of organic food products to the consumers. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Ruchika here. So Ruchika couldn't make it, but a colleague, a team member is here collecting it on her behalf. But round of applause for the team at Urban Monk. Congratulations. Let's move on to our next category. This is for Entrepreneur of the Year. It's time to raise a toast to the entrepreneurs shaping the future of India. Here's a look at the nominees.
Presenting the distinguished nominees for the coveted category, Entrepreneur of the Year, AWL India, Mahavira Transport, UIPL Innovations.
The winner is Rahul Mehra, CEO and founder at AWL India. Unfortunately, Mr. Mehra is unable to join, so I'd like to request... Oh, you're here. Sorry. Round of applause for Mr. Mehra and for AWL India. Now, AWL is a tech-driven B2B logistics provider offering a diverse fleet for industries like electronics, cosmetics, energy, and much more. All right, let's move on. Now, we would like to celebrate some exceptional achievements that have been made by some of IDFC First Bank's esteemed customers who have made some remarkable contributions in their respective fields. So, let's give a huge round of applause as we felicitate The Rising Star for Excellence in Agri-Tech and Allied Services. This is Dr. Haresh Patel, Managing Director at Kama International Organic Private Limited, for his remarkable contributions in the sector. Let's give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. We definitely can be a little louder than that. All right, let's move on to our next IDFC First Bank Rising Star Award, and this goes to Shobit Agarwal, CEO of Manja Technologies Private Limited, for his contribution also in the Agri-Tech and Allied Services category. Let's have a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And we'd like to also welcome on stage Astha Jain, CEO and co-founder Ayurveda House Private Limited, as the Rising Star for her outstanding contribution in the Health, Wellness and Ayurveda category. Let's keep that applause going as Astha walks up on stage. Congratulations to our IDFC First Bank Rising Stars. Now, ladies and gentlemen, time for a very special award. It's a unique one. It recognizes excellence in sustainable agriculture. We'd like to present the Excellence in Green Revolution Award to Pratibha Biotech. Let's give them a huge round of applause. Now, since its establishment by Shri E. Rajasekhar Reddy in 2005, Pratibha Biotech Private Limited has made remarkable strides in the agri-biotech sector. With a vision to revolutionize Indian agriculture, the company marked a decade of success in 2015. When agri-biotech had limited acceptance in India, the company led the way in increasing awareness and adoption of biotech solutions among the farming community. All right, we have one very important set left to do, but Mr. Doble, thank you so much, sir, for doing the honors. Anurag sir, last set of awards, very short. I'd like the Honorable Chief Guest to please stay on. And, you know, we have this very, what is this, how did we come with these awards? Because it's important to have the jury. The jury are the ones that have been the ones that we would like to felicitate, and we want to appreciate them for the great work that they have done in this. So I'd like Anurag sir to please do the honors. I'd like to call up on stage Anisha Singh of She Capital, one of our jury members. Ma'am, if we can have you up on stage for Anurag sir to felicitate. Let's keep the round of applause going, ladies and gentlemen. These are the jury members, and they have done a tough task as well. Can we have the trophy, the felicitation for Anisha? Let's keep the... No, ma'am, please. It is our honor that you've taken out time to award, to recognize these stellar winners here. We'll also invite up on stage Sahil Malik, MD and CEO Da Milano and Ross Brunello. Let's keep the applause going, ladies and gentlemen. We need to have some celebratory music as well. This is for Anisha Singh, the founder of She Capital. We'll move on to Vinod Kumar Vuthu, the president at India SME Forum. Mr. Vuthu, sir, you are here. Please maybe have you on stage. Round of applause, ladies. At least the winners and nominees should be applauding, man. These are the guys that went through all of the nominees, went through all the applications, and were the ones that have finally, well, chosen the stars of tonight. All our winners here at Leaders of Tomorrow Awards Season 12. I'd also quickly like to invite up on stage Vivek Gambhir, venture partner, Lightspeed India. Mr. Gambhir, sir, if we can have you back on stage to receive your felicitation at the hand of our Honorable Chief Guest, Shri Anurag Singh Thakur. And finally, Dr. A. Velumani, creator, Thyrocare. Dr. Velumani, sir, may we have you please on stage? Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Velumani. Anurag sir, may I request you to please take the podium and please address us, say a few words. Sorry, before that, sir, I also, my bad mistake, Mr. Prashant Tandon is also here. Mr. Tandon, may I have you on stage, please, for your felicitation. Apologies for that. Please don't blacklist me on Tata 1MG for that. Round of applause for Mr. Tandon. Thank you. And Anurag sir.
Honored industry pioneers, esteemed participants of this program, and all the leaders of tomorrow who are here with their remarkable ideas and inspiring success stories of enterprise transformations. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to all of you. You are not just the leaders of tomorrow, you people are the pilots of India's growth engine. I wish you all a great success in your future endeavors. With confidence, I believe that you will establish new benchmarks and exceed them through your outstanding performance and achievements in the future. Each milestone you're going to accomplish will contribute significantly to India's rise as a global economic and knowledge powerhouse. Referring to the TV show, Leaders of Tomorrow, it is commendable to see that the media, the fourth pillar of our democracy, is actively engaged in nation-building process by nurturing talent to meet the needs of tomorrow. It is good to see that this entrepreneurship ki Pathshala, you are providing an entrepreneurial platform dedicating to empowering, enabling, and celebrating the spirit of entrepreneurship with equipping entrepreneurs with essential information for success. We have seen many industry leaders speaking during the day, sharing their success stories, and there's a lot of learning through that as well. Each one of you has a lot to share, showcase, and I think these kind of functions actually help us, in the platform help us to understand what kind of challenges they have gone through and how they have reached at this stage. So I sincerely wish if in future, ET Now also zooms upon rural India and B-towns, which are pulsating with the ideas of entrepreneurship and teeming with the dream of Viksit Bharat. Rural India is brimming with latent energy and is a vast treasure trove of talent and opportunities. It is only needed a single trigger, which Narendra Modi government provided. Ladies and gentlemen, our nation is undergoing a remarkable phase of transformation. From ideas to industry, from concept to commerce, from aspirations to achievements, and from potential to performance, we have taken a significant leap forward. Can you give this transformative moment a name? And I asked this few days back in the SME platform also. अगर मैं ही इसको नाम दूं तो मैं कहूंगा यही समय है, सही समय है. And when we talk about the Indian entrepreneurship globally, the world is looking at India. They talk about India as a bright spot among the large economies of the world. India is the fastest growing economy today, and I can confidently say today, India is going to be the fastest growing economy in the next 10 years as well. And we are bound to achieve that. It is an undeniable truth that the world acknowledges the transformative changes that have been here since 2014 onwards. The past decade has been a journey from indecision to decisiveness, and we have emerged as one of the world's most assertive nations in the global affairs. I still remember from 2004 to 2014, we on many platforms used to talk about the UPA government, that they are suffering from the policy paralysis. But today we can proudly say we have spent last 10 years in the policy formation. We have risen from the fragile 5 economies to be among the first 5 economies of the world. And in the next 3 years, we are going to be the 3rd largest economy in the world. Prime Minister Modi has steered our country, the great Bharat, from the lost decade to the decade of growth and prosperity. There was a time in 2014 when 11 out of 12 PSU banks were under the PCA framework. We came out with a 4R strategy, and in a span of 5 to 6 years, we have transformed the banking sector, where today 12 out of 12 PSU banks are making big profits, and it is because of the government who is working under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. अगर मैं ये कहूं कि कुछ सरकारें ऐसी थी पहले वाली, जो मित्रों की सरकार थी, जो केवल फोन बैंकिंग पे विश्वास करती थी, आज इतना फर्क पड़ा है कि फोन बैंकिंग की बजाय आज अगर महिला को या एक सामान्य व्यक्ति को किसी को भी लोन चाहिए तो उनके लिए बहुत सारे अवसर हैं. If I have to speak about Mudra loan, and before that if I have to speak about the bank accounts, I may take a couple of minutes on this, but I would like to stress upon how one initiative can lead to such a big change. On 15th of August 2014, when Prime Minister Modi spoke about opening bank account for the poor people, making them part of the Indian economy, of the banking system, a lot of people raised a lot of questions. Why do a poor man need a bank account? And in just a couple of years' time, we opened more than 54 crore bank accounts. Then they raised a question mark, whether the zero-frill accounts or these will make some sense. Today, those 50 crore bank accounts have more than 2,10,000 crore rupees deposited in those bank accounts. And that money is being used by the banking system to lend loans to the SME sector or to the new startups. And they have also become the part of the banking system. Now they can also raise loans. For example, Swanidhi Yojana. Now Swanidhi came during the COVID time for the street vendors. Now what has happened? They were never part of the economy. Cash mein dete the, cash mein paisa lete the. Now they have to make the transaction digitally. Those are recorded. They get 10,000 rupees initially, but then that goes up to 20,000 to 50,000 rupees as well. Out of 68 lakh such Swanidhi account holders who have been given such kind of money, many of them have graduated to the 50,000 rupees category and much more. Even if you look at the Mudra sector, we have given more than 34 crore loans and more than 27 lakh crore rupees has been disbursed in the last 5 to 7 years without giving any collateral to the banks. That is our common man, and especially out of that, 63% are the women who got money under the Mudra loan scheme, and among the PM Jan-Dhan Yojana, it is a 68% women who got a new bank account. When a woman, a lady who was part of your jury, Mrs. Singh, She Capital, I think her company name, I was just wondering, from Mudra loan to She Capital and such success stories, where now women are looking at raising capital and having their own entrepreneurship. They are no more dependent on others. They are adding to the Indian economy. And these are the success stories from Stand Up India, where a large amount of money is being available for the women entrepreneurs as well. So one after another such stories are here. When we talk about Viksit Bharat is a collective pursuit of we the people of Bharat, who want to see the nation fully developed by 2047. So we all have to contribute towards India's growth story. It represents a grand mosaic of an aspirational Bharat. It means rediscover your past, redefine your present, and shape your future. We have empowered youth of nation to dream and dare. It is evident from the fact that today we have more than 160,000 startups today. We are the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, and we have more than 117 unicorns today, which we couldn't imagine 10 years back, but we have actually achieved that today, and that is all because of the young entrepreneurs and the startups in this country, who have provided jobs to more than 1.8 million people in the country, and I'm sure in the coming years they're going to achieve much more. The nation greatly acknowledges the SME entrepreneurs. They are our unsung heroes and silent architect of India's growth story. For us, MSME means in the service of the nation. When Modi ji envisioned Make in India, he had MSME sector in the mind. Make in India is a visionary initiative driven by the desire of vocal for local. If Make in India has remarkably achieved, it is because of the MSME sector. Today, MSME has earned credibility as the backbone of India's manufacturing industry. It is India's capital investment in its future. Today, they provide jobs to crores and crores of people. Today, MSME has become the most resilient and reliable sector, playing an important role in making India a Viksit Bharat by 2047. Our MSMEs has huge potentials to be a part of a global supply chain. They are constantly upgrading quality and durability to meet global standards. When I was 20 years old, before that I used to play cricket, and we used to play cricket for Punjab. We have won many such national championships from under 16, under 19 Ranji Trophy to the university level. My father suffered from a heart attack, and I was told to join my cousins and start something. So we started a manufacturing unit. At the age of 20, when I was forced to leave cricket and start a company and to do business, एक तरफ से तो दिल नहीं था, दिमाग वैसे ही काम नहीं करता था. ऊपर से सिस्टम का पता चलता था कि फैक्ट्री में कभी कोई पोल्यूशन वाला आता था, कभी कोई बिजली वाला आता था, कभी कोई लेबर वाला आता था, कभी कोई ईपीएफ वाला आता था, कोई ना कोई चला ही रहता था. तो मेरे जो कजन्स थे, मेरे से ज्यादा उम्र के थे, मैंने कहा भाई ये क्यों चले रहते हैं और इनसे मुक्ति कब मिलेगी हम सबको, और इतना कंप्लायंस बर्डन हम सबके ऊपर होता क्यों है. वो आहिस्ता आहिस्ता सीखने को मिला, जो चैलेंजेस आपको भी सीखने को देखने को मिलते होंगे. बट व्हेन आई बिकेम अ पार्ट ऑफ दिस गवर्नमेंट as a MOS Finance way back in 2019, Prime Minister Modi called me and Nirmala ji and said, you have to take care of startups, because they are not the job seekers, they are going to be the job givers. They have some small issues, we need to sort it out. And he gave a list of 5 things that you need to sort it out in a specific time frame. He has so much of confidence in Startup India and in the youth of this country, you can't believe it. And he used to check with us every second month what steps have been taken. The same story was with the industry. He said, why so much of compliance burden on them? It was 63,000 compliances in the beginning. We have cut it down by 39,000. It is 24,000 now. And it takes a feedback from all of us. When I was in the ministry till 2024, in every second month from the ministers, that how much compliance burden your ministry have cut it down. From the criminality part of the law to the revoking of the law. And in the last 5 years, we have revoked more than 1,150 such old laws which were from the British era. We have cut down the compliance burden, but there are still so many compliances which takes a toll on the industry. And when we see a small entrepreneur or a first generation entrepreneur, if he has 7 employees in the beginning or 3 employees in the beginning, and if his size and scale goes up, he doesn't know what to do. कि ईपीएफ का बर्डन आ गया है, अब इसका कंप्लायंस कैसे पूरा करना है. हमें और कौन कौन से कंप्लायंसेस फैक्ट्री एक्ट के अंतर्गत पूरे करने हैं, कौन से और ऐसी और चैलेंजेस हैं और उसके कारण वो कहीं ना कहीं जीएसटी नहीं भर पाता, कहीं कोई और अकाउंट नहीं खोल पाता. सो हाउ वी कैन मेक इट अ ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस फॉर देम. कहीं ना कहीं इस पे सरकार भी सोचती है कि क्या क्या कदम उठाने चाहिए, लेकिन इसका उत्तर इंडस्ट्री से ज्यादा बेहतर मिल सकता है. सो आई सीक एंड आई रिक्वेस्ट यू टू प्लीज हेल्प अस, share your suggestions that what are such compliances from the state, locally, which is with the municipal corporation and all that, or at the central level, which can be brought down and more ease could be given you to grow your business. On one hand, if you could have a look at the government decision in the recent budget, where the definition of MSME has been changed, whether it is their investment or it is their turnover, that has been changed to provide you more size and scale to your industry. मेरा मानना आज भी है, अगर आप जर्मनी की इंडस्ट्री से जोड़कर देखेंगे, वहाँ की मीडियम स्केल इंडस्ट्री बहुत बड़ी है, वहाँ की स्मॉल स्केल इंडस्ट्री भी हमारी कहीं ना कहीं मिड साइज की इंडस्ट्री के बराबर आती है. तो जब तक हम अपने एमएसएमई सेक्टर की ग्रोथ के बारे में, उनके फाइनेंस के बारे में, उनके बिजनेस करने में उनको और राहत लाने के बारे में, उनकी इन्वेस्टमेंट के बारे में बहुत गंभीरता से नहीं सोचेंगे, तो शायद वो साइज एंड स्केल हम नहीं प्रोवाइड कर पाएंगे. और जो इतनी बड़ी एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन हमारा एमएसएमई सेक्टर करता है, उसको हम उड़ान के नए पंख नहीं दे पाएंगे. हमारी सरकार करना चाहती है, मोदी सरकार करना चाहती है, हम अपनी ओर से प्रयास कर रहे हैं. आप सुझाव दीजिए, मैं आपको विश्वास दिलाता हूं सरकार के अंदर भी हम आपकी बात करेंगे और वो बदलाव लाकर आपको नई उड़ान भरने के लिए ताकत भी देने का काम करेंगे. There are many such schemes, from the credit guarantee to such other schemes, where the MSME sector, where earlier the government used to provide 10,000 crore rupees and 1 lakh crore rupees was available as a credit for the MSME. हमने वो 10,000 करोड़ से बढ़ा के उसको बढ़ाया ताकि आपको पैसा और मिल सके. We are trying that you should get loan थ्रू द फोन बैंकिंग. फोन बैंकिंग पे मेरा फोन के कारण नहीं, फिनटेक के कारण या बाकी सब के कारण आपको उसका लाभ मिले, वापस ना जाना पड़े. आजकल सब कुछ ऑनलाइन डेटा अवेलेबल है, उसके लिए आपको बहुत कुछ नहीं करना पड़ता. न्यू एज टूल्स कैन हेल्प अस प्रोवाइडिंग यू अ बेटर लोन फैसिलिटी. आई स्टिल रिमेंबर ड्यूरिंग द कोविड टाइम, इनिशियली वी प्रोवाइडेड यू द मोरेटोरियम पीरियड फॉर 6 months. Then we came out with the emergency credit line guarantee scheme, where we provided more than 4 lakh crore rupees to the industry so that they could get the 20% additional working capital, which helped them during that time to sustain. And now we are trying to help them to increase the size and scale of their business. And I'm sure with leaders like you, who are the leaders of tomorrow, who are going to make waves, who are going to achieve a lot in the coming years, not only locally but globally as well. Your products are going to be more acceptable in India and abroad. And I'm sure you're going to make all of us proud, and you're going to play a very, very important role in making India a Viksit Bharat by 2047. Let me thank the ET Now and the Times Network for creating such awards. वैसे तो मैंने बाहर आके कहा लोटा अवार्ड्स देने वाले हो, लीडर्स ऑफ टुमारो अवार्ड्स. तो इन अवार्ड्स के कारण केवल आपको मंच पर आने का समय नहीं मिलता, केवल आपकी पीठ थपथपाने का अवसर नहीं मिलता, एक रिकॉग्निशन मिलती है जिसके कारण आप और ताकत के साथ वापस जाके काम करते हो. और हम जैसे लोगों को और इंटरनेट और मीडिया के माध्यम से देश के कोने कोने में बहुत सारे लोगों को आपकी कंपनी और आपके प्रोडक्ट के बारे में भी जानकारी मिलती है. And I'm sure there are going to be a lot of takers for your products, and your company is going to do well in the coming years. Wishing you all a great success and great future. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, sir, for that. May I request Anurag, sir, to stay on stage for a quick group photo op. So I'd like to invite back on stage all our winners and our jury members. For the winners, if you could come with your trophies. For our jury members, Dr. Velumani, sir, Mr. Tandon, Mr. Gambhir, if you could have you, let's keep that round of applause going for all our winners and for our jury members, and of course for Shri Anurag Singh Thakur, who was very kind enough to take out time and to join us here to share his words of inspiration, his words of wisdom with all of us here, and of course also to felicitate all the winners here at Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. This is IDFC First Bank presents ET Now Leaders of Tomorrow Awards Season 12. Let's keep that applause going, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a tough walk for these entrepreneurs, for these business owners to make it here on one of the longest running, one of our biggest platforms here that always celebrates the MSMEs, the startups. Thank you so much. We're going to take some more photo ops. We definitely want to make this moment even more memorable. A round of applause for the winners and the jury. And thank you very, very much, Shri Anurag Singh Thakur, sir, for taking out time, for being here and for gracing this stage. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the close of this evening, to the 12th season of Leaders of Tomorrow Awards. Thank you so much for being here, for being a part of this moment. And please do join us for dinner. Dinner is served outside in Raja Bagh. The team will guide you. Thank you so much and have a good evening.